Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. Access One is your one vendor for everything tech. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. And right now, AM 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty with their Generac. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Scott Jennings sees more sore losing from the left.
This is Tim Walz, Democrat vice presidential candidate last year.
The last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
I mean, he's literally sitting there saying, I wake up in the morning hoping to find news that the President of the United States had died.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's September 11th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Day of Service and Remembrance, as well as Patriot Day. Since the terror attacks of September 11th, 2001, presidents have called on all Americans to pause and reflect on the nearly 3,000 lives lost in the worst terror attack on U.S. soil. In New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, memorial ceremonies take place where the names of those who died are remembered by survivors and all Americans. Also on this date, in 1941, construction began on the Pentagon in Arlington County, Virginia. Architect George Bergstrom designed the world's largest office building with more than 6.5 million square foot of floor space. World War II General Leslie Groves oversaw the construction of the building, which was completed in January of 1943. If it's your birthday today, you share it with the founder of NFL Films, Ed Sable, born in 1916. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family owned, integrity since 1981.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
Perhaps you're a collector. Or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here on a day when we remember and mourn the death of 3,000 Americans, nearly 3,000 Americans, the worst terrorist attack in American history, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the program. Of course, 9/11. We remember a fallen colleague here at Salem Media, and that, of course, is Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated yesterday at Utah Valley College while he was giving one of his Turning Point Q&A rallies. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Before we hear from the president on Charlie Kirk, I want to bring on our president, Dave Santrella. He's the president of Salem Communications, Salem Media. And this is the statement that he released yesterday upon the confirmation that Charlie Kirk had been killed.
This is David Santrella, CEO of Salem Media. It is with profound sorrow that we mourn the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk following the horrific assassination attack at Utah Valley University. It was a cowardly and vile act of violence carried out to silence one of America's boldest Christian conservative voices. Our hearts are shattered for Charlie's wife, family, friends, colleagues, and the countless people whose lives he touched through his words, his work, and his unwavering commitment to faith and country. Charlie was more than a broadcaster. He was a fearless defender of truth and a faithful servant of God. His assassination was not just an attack on Charlie. It was an attack on free speech and on the values Charlie championed every day. Salem Media extends its most heartfelt condolences to the Kirk family, Charlie's friends, and the millions of Americans and people across the world who are grieving this senseless loss. I'm Dave Santrella.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. President Trump issued a extended message on Charlie Kirk after his initial Truth Social post, in which he wrote, "The great, even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." That was his message on Truth Social. And then he delivered extended, considered remarks about Charlie Kirk's assassination, as well as what that means for America, the state of our politics. You want to hear from a president in these moments, and we did.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America.
Dark moment for America, but as he said, a martyr for truth and freedom. So before we get to this dark moment in America that we're all in, some reflections on the messenger he was for truth and freedom. Clay in Libertyville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Wow. Sorry, I lost my words there for a minute. Words are very important here right now. So Charlie Kirk is not dead. Charlie Kirk was not murdered. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because of his ideas and his beliefs. He was a man who always stuck up for truth and morality and sought it out wherever possible. That being said, he was a great man. He was a Christian man. May God rest his soul. And, warn him, but celebrate him. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Clay. Jeff in Cherville.
Morning, Dan. I've been hearing a lot of people say that there'll never be another Charlie Kirk, and that's true. I'm thankful that he had a testimony of having Jesus Christ as a Savior, so we can take comfort in that, and just pray for the family that this fresh wound will eventually heal. But obviously, there's always going to be that scar there. But one of the things that I was considering is that when Rush Limbaugh passed away, there was a lot of people that are saying there'll never be another Rush Limbaugh, and I know Charlie often referred to Rush as even helping him get started. And the intellect and the way he would challenge people and how he had such great recall and so quick. And I love listening. It's your show and Charlie's are the two that it's like I can't miss. I have to listen to just because it challenges. There's a few times where I'll disagree, with both you and Charlie, but it's not like vehement, but it was always to where it would challenge my thinking, and I like. So my prayer is that with his passing, that with all the young people that he affected, and with the Turning Point, that there'll be an army of young people, men and women, that will take up the mantle of just going and being able to have the recall and the facts and being able to just continue to spread truth to hopefully to continue to turn. I mean, we know Charlie turned so many minds. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but he was able to just change the young people's thinking, and that they weren't just going along with what they were hearing on campus anymore, that they were changing. And my prayer is that his legacy will continue on with the multiplication of many up-and-coming Charlie Kirks.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. A couple of important points mentioned there. Talk about disagreeing with me or disagreeing with Charlie. Right, but that's the whole point. That was his whole point, right? I mean, that was the popularity of the rallies that he did, was that it was an open forum, challenge me. Many of you come out to here to challenge me because you disagree with me, because you want to protest me or the things I believe in. So let's have at it. He was a happy warrior in debating the salient issues of the day. That's one important point. The other is what you mentioned before about him being a man of faith. Dave Centrella mentioned it as well in the message we just heard from the president of Salem. And this is Charlie Kirk in his own words when he was asked a question on a podcast about how he wanted to be remembered, or more to the point, what he wanted to be remembered for.
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
Sean, Northwest Side.
Hey, I just wanted to make a quick comment. A lot of us probably don't understand the impact he had on the younger generation. My high schooler and middle schooler both were in tears. We think they're only just on the internet looking at gaming videos, but it's actually surprised me how much he was informed about Charlie Kirk. And he even told me the entire football team during his practice took a knee for Charlie Kirk and had a moment of silence. He gave a lot of young men bravery and a desire to follow the Lord. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks for the call, Sean. We'll take more of your calls and texts and have a lot more discussion on this coming up at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny today with a high of 75. Chicago police have charged 26-year-old Jermaine Sutton with first-degree murder after a fatal weekend shooting on the city's west side. CBS Chicago reports that Sutton shot and killed a 57-year-old man Saturday morning in East Garfield Park. The victim died at Stroger Hospital. Sutton also faces a cannabis charge and has a detention hearing next Wednesday. The Department of Homeland Security launched Operation Midway Blitz Monday in Chicago. CBS Chicago reports Mayor Brandon Johnson says the city had no notice, and Governor J.B. Pritzker criticized the lack of coordination. ICE has made more than a dozen arrests, and immigrant rights groups are holding protests. Illinois leaders from both parties are condemning the shooting death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. WGN reports Governor Pritzker called the attack horrifying. Republican leaders Darren Bailey and Tony McCombie also denounced the violence, saying political attacks have no place in America. News is a service of Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Gallagher points out the ultimate troll.
The behavior of Gavin Newsom is so wild, where he's got this shtick down now where he's trying to mimic Trump. And J.D. Vance was asked about it and said, I love his line, he's going to make him crazy. You talk about a real troll? Here's trolling. You can't mimic the king.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Did you hear? The best performing assets of 2025 aren't stocks. They are precious metals. This year, gold and silver have risen a staggering 29%. And some experts believe the gold and silver bull market has just begun. Central banks are buying gold to protect against the falling dollar. And silver? It's powering the future. With skyrocketing demand for solar, EVs, and AI, silver is the new oil. So how high could gold and silver soar? Find out. Call Lear Capital, the precious metals leader, at 800-889-3070. Get your free wealth protection kit and see how gold and silver could help your retirement dreams come true. With over $3 billion in trusted transactions, thousands of five-star reviews, Lear is your trusted source. Call now. 800-889-3070. That's 800-889-3070.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday in Utah. Before we get to the ugliness of the left, and we will get to it, Argentinian President Javier Milei saying, the left is always, at all times and everywhere, a violent phenomenon full of hatred. Yeah, it is. But before we get to that ugliness, I wanted to give people an opportunity to accentuate the positive, the contributions that Charlie Kirk made to truth and freedom in his life. 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Greg Schomburg.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking the call. when God appoints a person as his servant for significant work, and then they pass and that work is finished, it's my practice to always mark one memory I can latch on to that resembles the totality of his work. And mine is this one. On election night 2024, or just last November, about midnight, Chicago, when Trump went over the top, I was watching Charlie and his team. And at that moment, Charlie continued to speak for just a moment, but then the enormity of what had happened with Trump's reelection hit him, meaning I think probably what was going on in his head as he was thinking, wow, what did we just dodge? And he put his head down on his desk and literally lost it for a few minutes. And everybody came over, put his hands on his shoulders, and just comforted him. And it was just a really memorable moment that, as the person who said, no one will outwork him. And I think it's very credible to say that Trump would not be president without Charlie Kirk. That's my memory. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. Lewis in Brenham, Texas.
Good morning, Dan. First of all, my thoughts and prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. I wish them, all the best going through this rough time. Charlie was a great person. He like you stated many times, he's, pushed the boundaries and he wanted to have that open dialogue, which you've talked about many a times. A little personal thing is recently my son came to me when the news broke and he was kind of horrified. And I was surprised because I didn't know my son was into politics. But he explained to me that he did follow Charlie Kirk and that he liked him and he liked, the way he talked and his open dialogue and how non-confrontational he was. And that just goes to show people, that he touched many people, young people. My son's only 16, and he brought him into that political arena, not by violence, not by being rude or disrespectful, but by who he is, the gentleman and his faith of who he is. And, I think, it bothered my son a lot yesterday, and we had a talk, and I think, it's going to affect a lot of other young people out there. And, I hope his family knows that this is the kind of man that he is and he was, that he was an engaging person and that, a lot of people that he might not even himself realize that he touched and brought into this circle that he did. So, it's just a horrible and sad day. If I can, Dan, I do have a quick question for you. I've seen recently on Facebook and social media all the, people who are cheering for, what happens to Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. And, I blame a lot of the individuals and the politicians, Greg Newsom and all these people who are inciting these violences, Dan. My question to you is, why aren't these individuals I feel like these politicians need to be arrested or put on trial for some sort of, ethical thing that they're inciting this violence against conservatives and people of different beliefs of them. I think they need to be arrested or fired or something, because it may not be illegal, but it's unethical, and there has to be something within the laws that say that this cannot stand for, because they're inciting this type of violence.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. Well, we're going to get to that, but just the short version of it, I would say, is they do need to be fired. There needs to be a political reckoning for people who speak so recklessly, so consistently recklessly, in a direction of legitimizing violence as the means to political ends. We have a governor who did so yesterday and does so routinely. And this dark day in America that President Trump referred to yesterday is in part the result of electorates that elevate people like J.B. Pritzker and so many others. And no matter what he says or does or the consequences of both, they reelect him. It's a sad commentary on our culture, generally speaking, and it's specifically acute in particular areas like this one, Chicago, Illinois. But we'll get to that. There's a lot to get to. John in Libertyville.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. It's a devastating loss, not just for our side, but the country. And my prayers are with his family. I think the best thing people can do to honor Charlie is speak their mind. I think we've kind of gotten to this point in our society because a lot of people have held back when others are pretty much spouting off nonsense. I know I've avoided it at times, and I'm guilty of it. And for the most part, I speak my mind. And 9 times out of 10, nobody is there to join in, though I know people agree with me. And they have kind of created the narrative. The only reason why it's acceptable for them to call us Nazis, because we got to this point where people are comfortable with sitting back. Maybe they're not comfortable, but they're just not willing to say something, to speak up. And that's got to change, because this will continue. And at some point, there will be retaliation from our side, and just lead to worse things.
Yeah.
But
yep. That's the big takeaway, John. That's an important one. Thanks for the call. Big takeaway. You have to respond to their rhetoric. Yeah, it has to be addressed. And President Trump addressed it yesterday.
The simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
Rob and Morris.
Hey, Dan. It's been a brutal last 12 hours, and I haven't shed a tear over this because I've been fighting them back this entire time. And this has inspired me. I don't vote in every election. The big ones are the ones that are always on my mind. But I will make sure that I vote in every single election, and I vote red, which I have for years. But I know it's not going to solve all the problems, but the more power that the left gets, the more we're going to see of this, and the more that we can go to the voting booth and get more red representatives out there, the better off we're going to be when it comes to policy and everything else. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. That's a good takeaway, too. Bill and Dyer.
Yeah, just a short verse, Isaiah 1:18. It says, the Lord says, "Come, let us reason together." And that's what Charlie did. He brought people together and he debated issues. It goes back to even the New Testament with Paul on Mars Hill in Athens, reasoning with people and speaking directly to them and showing them right from wrong. I'm going to miss the guy. He was awesome.
Thanks, Bill. Tina Joliet.
Hi, good morning. I have so many things I want to say. I don't even know what to get out. But so I watched in real time with all my friends the speed of social media. We heard he got shot right away. And I was in multiple text groups, and everybody said, pray, pray, pray. I did not want to watch the video. I don't want to see it. I hope people should not, these close-up videos don't post that. Nobody needs that burned into their memory. But when it became clear that he was not going to make it, I think we all started asking, why are they not giving us an update? Why are we not hearing anything? If he was in stable condition or critical condition or even just grave condition, there would be something. And Jason Chaffetz was breaking down on Fox News, and that's when I knew he wasn't going to make it. And I just want, I think the impact that Charlie Kirk had on our youth is going to be, his loss is monumental. He was a giant in his generation and mine. I'm Gen X, and I just, he's my son's age, or my daughter's age, and I'm just so, I I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised. This is who the left is. They tried to kill our president twice. And I hope, this is a bad analogy, but at some point you have to hit rock bottom to get better. And as Republicans, I'm hoping now you recognize what we're dealing with. These are not normal people. These are people who don't want us alive. These are the people who wanted to put us in concentration camps over the COVID virus. If we don't understand the enemy that we're dealing with, this is not going to get better for us. In voting, yes, we have to vote. We have to show up. And that gentleman is right. Words matter. Don't let them call you a Nazi. Don't let them intimidate you into believing that you're a bad person for who you voted for. This is so unfixable at this point. I just wonder, I had friends saying to me yesterday, we have to come together. This is why I rebuke that at every turn. There is no coming together with these people. This is not the Democratic Party that I grew up with and that I once belonged to. This is the headline yesterday from the New York Times. Charlie Kirk, right-wing provocateur and close ally of Trump, dies at 31. What an absolute despicable headline to describe, number one, who he was and what had happened to him. This Charlie Kirk was he's so much bigger than just one person. He represented millions. My son, who was not very political until this last election cycle, was in large part because of Charlie Kirk. And he called me yesterday to make sure I was okay and to tell me, Mom, don't watch that video. And this was my son's words to me yesterday. I have to get off the internet because it is radicalizing me to a point that I'm going to hurt somebody. And I said, same thing. I felt the exact same thing. This is just, I don't know how much more we as Republicans have to bear witness to before we step up and put on our big boy panties and I don't mean physically fight, but if it came down to it, you may have to, but we have got to give no ground at any turn, nothing. If a Democrat tells me the sky is blue, I will not believe them. I'm so done with this. We have to draw a line in the sand at this point. There is no coming back from this. There's no agree to disagree. We've got to make monumental changes within our party and how we deal with them. And I hope every red state redistricts the hell out of their state. We can't let them have power in 2026. We cannot. They shouldn't be allowed. They can't lead a one-car parade at this point. We have to be done, guys. We've got to recognize what we're dealing with and finish them. This is a party of Marxists. They're dangerous, violent, and they have to go.
Thanks for the call, Tina. Matt on the south side.
This is actually Tony.
Oh, sorry, Tony. I'm sorry. I was looking.
That's okay.
Matt Mount Greenwood, you're up next. I just telegraphed it. You're on deck. All right, go ahead, Tony.
Okay.
Sorry.
So 2 quick points. One is when my wife texted me yesterday to let me know that he was shot. Of course, I prayed for the guy because of his name and his family. And then when I found out he was dead, Dan, I don't know the guy personally. I did follow him. He's in my links, I'll check him out on the YouTube. But I actually hit a pit in my stomach. I felt almost to the point where I was sick. I was like, I couldn't believe this actually happened to this man. And my brother-in-law came to me yesterday. He said, well, who's this Charlie Kirk guy? And I said, well, he goes out on campuses. He tries to change hearts and minds to his beliefs and his side. He goes, oh, I didn't realize. I go check him out. And he goes, I'm going to. Of course he did. He goes, wow, this guy's pretty cool. So my point here, Dan, is that the left thinks they got rid of our discourse, right? And the people who are trying to move other people to our side, they didn't. They created a monster because everybody who didn't know who this guy was is now looking at him online and figuring out, wow, this guy is really on point. That's all I really got to say.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Tony. As advertised, Matt in Mount Greenwood.
Well, thanks, Dan. I'll pay you for that advertisement.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to, reiterate. I don't want to reiterate what everybody said. I think we all feel very, very similar. But I want to remind everybody about President Trump's executive orders that he signed that benefit religious freedom. And through the stroke of his pen, he has freed up true religious leaders, not these storefront fools, but true religious leaders to speak up. And our pastor, who is a mid-40s gentleman who just started with our parish last year, he's a tough guy, and he wrote a brief letter to the parish yesterday, just wiping out the leftists and the media, and that calls for violence by the Democrats. He flat out called out the Democrats. It's a beautiful thing. And one of the other priests in the parish, he's about 78 years old. He grew up on Halstead. He's a Southside tough guy, and he just calls it like it is. And it's been great, and the parish has been responding fantastically to it all. I mean, it's fun to go to church and see the responses, and even the body language of the parishioners when we're in mass. It's fantastic. And this man did not die in vain. God rest his soul. But the fight is on. I got 4 kids, and my 15-year-old daughter was saddened last night. She goes, "Dad, I listen to them all the time," which is awesome. Have a good day, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Maurice in Berwyn.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, I was, not a fan of Kirk, but simultaneously, I don't think anyone should ever be harmed for their views. I've said this numerous times. I think everyone needs to turn it down for the violence, even the rhetoric. I am 50 years old. I came from nothing, and it almost makes me emotional to think that this dude was killed so young. I should have been dead at 17. I want everyone to be I think people use these terms about harming other people so carelessly. This makes me emotional, actually, because I have 3 childhood friends, because everyone else I know is dead. And I think people don't really conceptualize death the way I do. Everyone needs to really turn it down. And people are very laissez-faire about death and murder. Everyone calm down. We all need to have compassion for each other, Dan. And I don't know how we got here, but everyone needs to stop. That's horrible. But stop threatening each other. What happened to us? It's devastating that America's gotten to this point. But no one should be harmed just for their views. The left and the right, everyone, stop. This is devastating that we're at this point. But we need to kind of take a moment to pause here and figure out how do we just talk to each other and calm down, guys, please. And that's it. I just want to leave it there.
Thank you, Maurice. Appreciate it. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Good morning, Dan, and thanks for taking my call. I realized that my whole family, every member, cousins, my kids, my wife, they all follow Charlie Kirk because the family thread, it blew up, and I'm watching all this stuff, how my kids, they're all crying and everything, and talking about it was so emotional. And I thought about it, and I realized I had, for anybody that never really seen Charlie Kirk when he debated and everything, there was something that came out, and it was 100%. His temperament, he had a compassion for lost souls and those young people that he knew were lost. They were misdirected by the damn schools and everything, and he was reaching out in love. And that was the thing. When he debated with these people, he didn't go there to argue. He wasn't arguing with them. He wasn't fighting with them. No matter how mean or rude they would be with him, he came back peacefully and gracefully and loving. He really honored and glorified God with his life. He was that man lived a life that was so honoring to God and everything like that. And I believe that the reason it fit into God's plan that he was taken out like that is because he really fulfilled the purpose that God had for him, and he did it. And basically, somehow it's fitting that something great is going to come out of him being assassinated like that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been in God's plan.
Thanks.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Craig. Very good. George, Naperville.
Yes, freedom of speech gave us Charlie, and it gave us you, Dan. Keep going.
Thanks, George. Margot, Burr Ridge.
Yeah, I just want to say Charlie was battling something that was so huge. According to Yuri Bezmenov, the Soviet defector in the 80s, they had been sowing our teaching schools with this hatred of America since the 60s. And it was evident when my kids were in school in the 90s, they were teaching them to hate George Washington and calling him a liar. It's incredible what they have sown into our children. And Charlie figured out how to battle all that and how to open their minds from this horrible groupthink that has been instilled in our children in the last couple of decades in the government schools. And that was a huge thing, and he figured out how to take it on. And this is just such a tremendous loss, because he was salvaging the minds of their generation and taking them away from this horrible groupthink. Anyway, that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Margot. It is worth noting, too, that President Trump has ordered flags throughout the United States lowered to half-mast until Sunday evening in honor of Charlie Kirk. Ed in Des Plaines.
Man, I got nothing to say. The woman who just spoke before me said it all. All I have to do is cry, and I don't want to take up your time on that. That's it.
All right, Ed. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. There's a lot of things that I'd love to say, and one of them is about a number of your callers already who have kids or grandkids, whatever, that are crying, concerned about the guy. He's currently got millions of followers, and you got to look at what that would grow into. I've probably watched, 100, 200 YouTube short videos of him, and one of the things that he really was good at and all these things he did at these colleges was, even with everybody who disagreed with him, he could get these people to at least respect him and feel like this is a guy that I might be able to work with. And, having said that, you look at the future, he probably would have been president, say, 3 terms from now, when he would be like 42 years old. And one of my biggest questions is, who killed this guy? I mean, he was as independent as Trump. He owes nobody. We don't even know if he'd be in the Republican Party or if there may be a third party at that time, because the Democrats are a joke. The Republicans are a bunch of clowns. And, so he's the biggest threat to the deep state. So what's really going on here? I realize that's a bit of a conspiracy theory, but notwithstanding that, he would have been president at one time. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, Greg. Well, take some solace in the fact that Charlie Kirk lived a charmed life, his short life, cut short, but lived a charmed life in his own words.
I'm just flesh and bone, but more importantly, I'm a soul. And that soul is accountable to one being. I mean, I've had an unbelievably blessed life. Been doing this now, it'll be 12 years on June 5th.
Such a young man to do it.
So young. Yeah, so praise God. I mean, I've been all across the world. I've met with world leaders. I've flown in Air Force One, got to know a president. I have an amazing family. The podcast, Turning Point USA, is all that stuff. And so you experience that, and you're like, what actually matters? What matters is your relationship with the divine, your relationship with your family, your kids, and maybe a close collection of friends, and your relationship with the truth.
Coming up at 6:06, we'll turn our attention to the actual investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination, as well as the response from the left, including from Illinois' governor. That's 6:06. It is now 6 a.m., AM 560, WIND, Chicago.
Still searching for an assassin. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The gunman who murdered Charlie Kirk.
I want to make it crystal clear right now to whoever did this. We will find you.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox Kirk, an influential conservative activist famous for debating students on college campuses, was assassinated while addressing a crowd at Utah Valley University, where Fox's CB Cotton reports.
The single shot rang out, striking Kirk in the neck and sending the crowd of about 3,000 people into panic. We're told the shots were fired from a building about 200 yards away. Now that massive manhunt is underway for the suspect, with investigators going door to door to people who live in the area to review surveillance video.
The FBI is also asking for the public's help.
Charlie was a patriot, who devoted his life to the cause of open debate.
President Trump calls Kirk's murder a dark moment in America and condemned rhetoric, especially on the left, demonizing people with whom you disagree. Former presidents and political leaders from both parties also condemned political violence. The man charged in the second Trump assassination attempt last year is on trial in federal court in Florida. Ryan Ruth will address the jury in this morning's opening statement since he's defending himself. There was also a shooting yesterday at Evergreen High School in Colorado.
This community's always felt really safe to us, and
a student shot 2 classmates, then himself. He later died. One of the victims is still in critical condition. Today marks 24 years since 9/11, when terrorists crashed hijacked planes, killing nearly 3,000 people.
From New York's World Trade Center to the Pentagon.
There were intense fires following the aircraft's impact into the building.
And Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where United Flight 93 crashed.
The only thing you could see was a big gouge in the earth and some broken trees.
The impact of that day remains.
That's Kevin Uretsky. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny and a high of 75 today. A robbery attempt in Chicago's Loop ended with gunfire Wednesday morning. CBS News reports that a man attacked an armored car guard outside Saks off 5th on State Street, punching him and grabbing a bag of cash. The guard fired several shots, hitting the suspect, who fled into the Washington Blue Line station before being caught with the money. He was taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds. It's the 5th shooting downtown this year, but fewer than at this point in each of the past 4 years. Former ICE Director Tom Homan is disputing claims that federal agents tried to raid a Chicago school in January. Chicago school CEO Pedro Martinez says ICE agents showed up at Hamline Elementary, but officials later confirmed they were Secret Service agents investigating a TikTok threat. Homan said Martinez was wrong and called on Governor Pritzker to apologize for repeating the report online. Pritzker had criticized what he believed was an ICE presence at the school. And today marks the 24th anniversary of the September 11 attacks. In St. Charles, the fire department will hold a remembrance ceremony at 7:30 a.m. at the Fire Department Memorial Monument at 2 East Main Street. It'll feature a flag posting, wreath laying, and a moment of silence. Residents are invited to attend and honor first responders and victims. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's not taking the Bears' plan to build a stadium outside the city personally. WLS reports that Bears CEO Kevin Warren confirmed that Arlington Heights is the preferred site for a new stadium, requiring no state money and potentially positioning the team for a future Super Bowl. Soldier Field remains under lease through 2033 with an option to break in 2026. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
In one horrific act of violence, a voice of freedom has been lost. Charlie Kirk was the leader of a groundbreaking movement for patriotism in this country. And the country will sorely miss his guidance. We pray for Charlie's family as they battle through this sudden loss. Rest in peace to an American hero, Charlie Kirk. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Your business is under attack. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's a fact. Small businesses are the low-hanging fruit. You may think you're protected, but you're vulnerable in many ways, and cyber attackers actively prey on small businesses. But Turnkey can protect you. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. Turnkey has a quick and efficient 12-point evaluation to determine if your business, your profits, are at risk. And right now, for a limited time, Turnkey is offering the first month of service to all new customers free. Peace of mind, free. It includes all Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, and completed data backup both on-site and off-site, plus help desk support. Don't leave you, your employees, and your customers vulnerable. Talk to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro. 3 decades of experience. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, the champion of small business.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Taking a look at your drive with traffic, a service of AM 560 Daily Podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Edens inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. No delays in 14 minutes on the Edens outbound, Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound, Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 10 minutes. And just under 10 minutes for your drive time on the Kennedy outbound from the Byrne Interchange to Montrose. Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. And a 15-minute travel time Eisenhower outbound from the Old Post Office to Wolf. 27 minutes. Stevenson inbound from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. On the outbound Stevenson Lakeshore Drive to 355, you're looking at 22 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 14 minutes. The traffic is a service of the Daily Podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the Daily Podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now, here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination, as we have been for the last hour. Let's not forget this happened on a college campus, Utah Valley College. And so one of the areas of discussion that's important is reflecting on what our colleges have become. Totalitarian re-education camps is a phrase I've been using for, 20 years. It's getting worse. We have short memories. Have we forgotten how Jewish students, even Jewish students left of center, were treated on so many college campuses since October 7th? Since the terrorist attack and the music festival in Israel? Because they dared to deviate from any aspect of the orthodoxy on campus. No-go zones. Attacks. From the left cannibalizing itself, as it's wont to do, as it has done throughout history. So what have become of universities? A couple of data points on this. A survey from the Foundation of Individual Rights and Expression, FIRE, studied over 68,000 students from 238 American colleges. found that 15% of students believe violence towards a campus speaker is justified. 15%. Small percentage of a big number, big problem. The same survey found 52% of students find it acceptable to block others from attending a campus speech. As Ben Sasse, former senator from Nebraska, former university president, Florida. Modern universities are officially governed by regents or trustees. Board members are typically prominent people with consequential jobs who exhibit great accomplishment and judgment. But for too long, when confronted with anti-intellectual activism, politicized inquiry, and attacks on campus free speech, trustees have buried their heads. Most trustees by disposition aren't fighters, they're consensus builders. They want to celebrate events that bring students and faculty together, like homecoming and graduation. Few join their boards to patrol intellectual boundaries or invite scrutiny for asking too many questions. Many have written big checks in support of scholarships. Others are nostalgic for their own formative college experiences. They expect to return only football tickets and sympathetic consideration from admissions officers when their children or grandchildren apply. They're there to give back, not to fight. Sasse writes, that's too bad because the radicals have already brought the fight to the universities. And somebody in charge needs to decide if this kind of work counts as credit towards tenure. Does activist scholarship entitle one to promotion from assistant to associate to full professor with the attendant raises? Board members who choose to remain silent as institutional standards slip tend not to view themselves as cowards. They think the rot they see spreading all around them is out of their hands. But it isn't. That op-ed could have been written 20 years ago. It's just been allowed to metastasize. And, oh, by the way, the Charlie Kirk assassination yesterday in Utah, that's hardly the first example of campus violence in the direction of speech that is unpopular on campus. I mean, we're a few years removed from when not just attacking conservative speakers on campus, ask Ben Shapiro, ask Heather McDonald, shouting people down, vandalizing buildings. We're a few years removed from a university president or university administrator being attacked on the campus of Middlebury College, a small liberal arts college in the Northeast, for daring to allow Charles Murray to speak on campus. She's accosted walking on the campus with Charles Murray. That's violence. So it's a slow but methodical build to what happened yesterday. That is part of what the reflection on the gruesome murder of Charlie Kirk needs to include. What is going on college and university campuses where so many send their kids and their cash? For more on this and things related to the investigation, the hunt for Charlie Kirk's assassin, pleased to be joined by Jim Gagliano, retired FBI, doctoral candidate at St. John's, former mayor of Cornwall and Hudson in New York. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks for having me. It's such a somber and reflective day. I'm currently in New York City, and 24 years ago today, political and ideological differences caused the death of nearly 3,000 of our fellow countrymen. And now for this to have happened, as you pointed out, yesterday on a college campus where a guy who professed, debate me on ideas, we don't need to resort to violence, and then meets his end by a murderous nihilist. Dan, I don't know what's become of this country.
What about, though? What about college campuses? I mean, as I said, this is hardly a one-off. I know we're supposed to treat these all as isolated lone wolf incidents, but it's not. It's part of the culture on campuses where you find it in the survey data I just mentioned. So what role does the FBI have? I mean, we talked about this a little bit with the treatment of Jewish students and colleges that were essentially suborning the violation of people's civil rights. But I mean, writ large, that's just one illustration of it. What role does federal law enforcement have into looking at colleges and universities that are platforming illiberal, violent people and organizations?
Yeah, Dan, that is a tough question. Look, the FBI, which has been around for since 1908, 117, really was put on the map back during the civil rights era. If you'll recall, the 3 civil rights workers who were down in Mississippi, they were registering voters down there in the minority communities, and they ended up disappearing. And because local law enforcement at the time wasn't keen on investigating the crime, the FBI got called in. You're right. Places like Columbia University in Manhattan, where I am right now, Penn, Ivy League schools on the West Coast, schools across this country. It's this notion, and you use the right word for it, description, illiberal. They claim to be liberals, but they don't want to hear your side. We're tolerant, we're inclusive, but we don't want to tolerate you, and we don't want to include your ideas. You asked me a pointed question. What can the FBI do? Well, again, there's that slippery slope there between, freedom of thought, freedom of expression. And look, I served in the U.S. military, and it wasn't to defend, thought and speech I agreed with. It was to defend thought and speech I found horrendous and heinous. This is more of a cultural indoctrination, Dan, and I'm not a psychologist, and I shouldn't probably step over my skis here, but this is going on university campuses across the nation where you have 90, 95, 97, 98% of college academics, and I am one of those, St. Queens, New York, but in most campuses, there's just not a differing opinion offered. So the students view everything as an existential threat. And I'm going to guess that, look, it's still early in the investigation, but I'm going to guess this was somebody that was disgruntled with Charlie Kirk's positions on trans rights or positions on abortion, things like that, and felt that he needed to die for espousing those views.
Let's talk about the events like that and security, because, the number one, they initially apparently had the wrong that they had somebody who they thought was the shooter who wasn't the shooter. And a bunch of eyewitnesses knew it wasn't the shooter because they sort of heard the direction from which the shot come. They saw the guy that security or police, I don't know which, detained, and he didn't have a weapon. So they knew it wasn't him. But are you surprised by a couple of things, particularly after Butler, Pennsylvania, even from a campus police level, much less whatever additional security was there, that there wasn't a sweep of elevated positions as just sort of a matter of course now when it comes to political events, unfortunately? And number two, so that's one. And then two is, are you surprised that the shooter is still at large?
Okay, I'll take the first one. So, again, we're in this position where, people ask, why is the FBI even involved in this? Because murder is not necessarily a federal statute. It can be attached to federal statutes, but it's not something the FBI typically investigates. That's a local or state matter. Well, political assassinations there are federal statutes for that. But here's where it gets tricky. And again, Dan, I'm not going to pretend to be an attorney, but here's where it gets tricky. Charlie Kirk is not the president, the vice president, a congressional leader. He's an activist, an influencer, somebody who believes deeply in his views and wants to debate and share those views. Look, he had a security team. I know guys who have served on his security teams. They were former colleagues of mine on the FBI's hostage rescue team. He took security seriously. But when you go to a place like UVU, where he was yesterday, and he brings in a small detail to protect him, there isn't drone coverage for elevated positions, to your point. There isn't a sweep of campus. There's not magnetometers. This is some guy that's just speaks his mind. He's not in an elected position. And have we gotten to the point now where everyone who speaks their mind has to be concerned that some assassin is going to pre-plan an operation? And I'll go into your next question now as we talk about why this person is still at large. I've seen a lot of debate and discussion, Dan, online, on radio programs, on television, and on the internet regarding this hit. It had to be a professional hit, people are spouting, and these are people that know nothing about what they're talking about.
Yeah.
This was a shot from about 520 feet. It was under 200 yards. I say this as a Marine Corps trained sniper, as an FBI SWAT sniper, and a member of the hostage rescue team. That is a simple shot with a long gun, a hunting rifle or an AR, a simple shot with optics. It's not that tough. Now, what concerns me the most, and I'll wrap it up quickly, what concerns me the most is the fact that a weapon was not recovered. So this shooter got the weapon in and then was able to secrete it on the way out when he egressed. As I reviewed the drone video footage over the campus that's online, everybody can check it out there, the building where he's purported to have been and taken the shot from, Dan, if you come down off of that building, there's a large open air parking lot right behind it. His car could have been parked there. And Dan, it's spitting distance from I-15. I-15 is a major artery, a major roadway where within 5 to 10 minutes, the shooter could have been miles away.
Something else, just in terms of the online traffic. One post making the rounds is a post from a dude who looks to be pretending to be a woman from his profile picture, who tweeted or posted on X this: Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. And then he added a post on X. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying that he's responsible. I have no idea. But my question is, that sort of chatter online, is that something the FBI takes judicial notice of and will look into?
1,000%. Now, again, people say things overly hyperbolic. People say hateful things, and they're going to necessarily act out on it. But something like that, an overt threat like that, will have to be run to ground, which means that, yes, he, if not already, has received a visit from the FBI and has either been determined to be not a person of interest, or they're questioning him now and they're just being circumspect about what kind of information they're releasing.
James Gagliano, retired FBI, former mayor of Cornwall-on-Hudson, and doctoral candidate at St. John's University. Jim, thanks as always. Appreciate your time.
No worries, Dan. Have a nice day.
You too. And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's SPECTRIOS.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
I think it's coming from over here.
No, I think I hear it over there.
Hold on. Here it is.
That's the Perry Sleeper, one of Penny Mustard's most popular sleeper sofas.
Yeah, and I think I know who's sleeping on it. Come on, Ben, wake up.
Huh? What month is it?
You mean what time is it?
No, what month? I'm hibernating.
You can't hibernate.
Well, I couldn't until I found the Perry Sleeper. Sure, it's classy and comfy as a sofa, but this pull-out sleeper is unbelievable.
5 extra inches of mattress.
And no painful bar in the middle of my back.
It just might be the perfect sleeper sofa.
Ugh, I'm going back to sleep. I set an alarm.
For what time?
April.
The Perry Sleeper, American-made with your choice of fabric or leather, and no metal bar digging into your back. Starting at $44.99 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft here. Let's take a few calls. Al and Rosemont, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan. Good morning. And I'm being over hyperbolic about this, but no one's calming down on this moment. We're not going to bag up. The FBI pretty much has 24 hours to bring this suspect front and center. And yet, this is a soft target. 200 feet is a chip shot for a sniper, but a regular person probably couldn't do 200. I know I couldn't do it. And I just think it's too much. Till we figure out what's happening, we're not bagging down or calming down on anything. And that's my comment.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. Ron Sycamore.
Hi, Dan. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but it's words that hurt the liberals. I've been a liberal all my life, and I changed into a conservative in 1994. And when I started telling my friends about it, they ostracized me. My friend from 1981, Dwayne, who I've known since 1981, called me a racist, even though I'm black. And I thought it was a joke at first, but then I saw how serious they were. And these people are unhinged. We don't know what we're dealing with. Words hurt these people. And we have to learn how to fight back. One last thing, Dan. Last year, you helped my daughter out at Opportunity House. You made a nice donation. My daughter's 24 years old. Actually, she's 30. And she voted for the first time for Trump. And she was so excited. And now she votes all the time. And that's how you change these people's minds.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. Glad your daughter's doing well. Jose, Midway.
Hi, Dan. Dan, I have a problem. Yesterday, my son, his professor that goes by they, them at St. Louis University, decided to say, well, they didn't get Trump, but Charlie Kirk will do. He was so upset. I told him, go to the dean, goes to the dean. The dean sides with the professor by with they, them. He's just so irate. It's a Jesuit university, supposed to teach godly values, and this is what you get. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for the call, Jose. Yeah, we're going to talk about the left at 6:36. Lot of that going on. Yeah, he should go to the dean. He should go to the university president. He should go to the board of trustees. I was just mentioning Ben Sass's column about these boards, university boards of trustees that abdicate their responsibilities as a fiduciary and, frankly, as Americans. It can have an impact. The Texas A&M professor I mentioned yesterday, trying to do a little bit of a bait and switch with the course curriculum, infusing trans agitprop into the classroom. That professor got fired. And the reason it got fired is because a student videoed it and it went viral and it put pressure on the university. One thing the universities don't like, just like politicians, is pressure. But they respond to it. So that's what I would say. Call that professor on the carpet and make him own those, or they, them, own those words that were used in class. Brian, St. John, Indiana.
Hey, good morning, Captain. So I am not like everybody else. When I hear things like this, I immediately jump out of my echo chamber, and I switched over to 8:20 a.m. and listened to our friend Joan Esposito, and she had several calls. What was that?
Joan Esposito, former newswoman for Channel 5. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So I listened to her. I hopped out of the echo chamber because I know what we would be talking about. And several of her callers were talking about one Republican, one conservative is not enough. Shoot, 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 etc. So it goes to Jose's point that these people are sick. We are not the same. And on top of that, I think I'm not the biggest Charlie Kirk fan, but I do believe that this assassination will be a huge impact moving forward. He was put on this earth for a reason, and it's going to be a great victory in the end. Thank you, and that's all I got.
Thanks, Brian. Mike, Southwest Side.
Hey, Dan. Good morning. Thanks for calling. What a sad day. One way to push back is to voice your opinion and honor Charlie. On Saturday, over the Cumberland Avenue Bridge on the Kennedy Expressway from 12 to 2, come out. There's some conservative groups that have gotten together. They're going to hold a rally. We're going to honor the president, and we're going to honor Charlie there. And I know there's going to be a couple hundred people who would like to have more. So I'd like to invite everybody out to honor the man. And his voice is definitely going to be missed. And I'm just sorry that this happened.
Thank you, Mike. 12 to 2 on Saturday, Cumberland Bridge over the Kennedy.
Correct.
All right. Very good. Thanks for the call, Mike. Coming up at 6:36, we'll take more of your calls, and we'll hear from the left, not for the purposes of being incendiary, but for the purposes of being instructive. You have to hear what your political leaders say. You have to hear what people that have big platforms like the cable news networks say. And you're going to at 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny today with a high of 75. A robbery attempt in Chicago's Loop ended with gunfire Wednesday morning. Fox 32 reports an armored car guard was attacked outside Saks off 5th on State Street and fired several shots, wounding the suspect. He fled into the Washington Blue Line station, where police recovered the cash and took him to the hospital. It's the 5th downtown shooting this year. Former ICE Director Tom Homan says Chicago officials were wrong to claim agents raided a school in January. CBS Chicago confirmed the visit came from Secret Service agents investigating a TikTok threat. Homan is asking Governor Pritzker to apologize for repeating the report online. Illinois leaders are condemning the shooting death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. WGN reports Governor Pritzker called it horrifying, while Republicans Darren Bailey and Cook County GOP Chairman Aaron Del Mar called the violence senseless and unacceptable. The St. Charles Fire Department is holding a 9/11 remembrance ceremony at 7:30 this morning at the Fire Department Memorial Monument at 2 East Main Street, including a moment of silence, flag posting, and a wreath laying. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. When you need same-day delivery, when you need the fastest service, when you need a last-minute delivery, go to quickdelivery.com and get a quote right now. That's quickdelivery.com.
Hugh Hewitt warns that China is flexing.
Xi Jinping has capped a week of frenetic diplomacy by presiding over one of China's biggest military parades, projecting his nation's growing power in a show of solidarity with fellow strongman Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. Everyone's got to pay attention to what China is doing and what China is saying. And it's very ominous.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life, it was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Taking a look at your drive with traffic and service of Discover on the Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Edens outbound Montrose to Lake Cook, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound Montrose to the Byrne interchange, you're looking at 16 minutes. And a 10-minute drive for you on the Kennedy outbound from the Byrne interchange to Montrose. Eisenhower inbound Wolf to the old post office, an 8-minute delay. You're looking at 22 minutes. And a 17-minute travel time Eisenhower outbound from the old post office to Wolf. 33 minutes on the Stevenson inbound from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Stevenson outbound Lakeshore Drive to 355, 22-minute ride. Inbound Dan Ryan, 95th to Byrne interchange. You are looking at 15 minutes. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Discussing the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday in Utah. And I got to tell you, heard a lot of reports and saw a lot of celebration from the left about this. We've talked a bit about the environments on college campuses, but the larger culture. We're all on one big college campus now, as Andrew Sullivan wrote several years ago. And that was several years after it had become obvious. Celebrating. I heard from a friend whose kid goes to New Trier High School. There were celebrations in New Trier, one of Illinois' and America's best public schools, I'm told. Don't believe it, I'm just told that. A lot of celebration. Celebration in the newsroom at TMZ, I saw they had to walk back in, apologize for. A lot of rhetoric along the lines of he deserved it. You just heard a caller from Northwest Indiana say, listen to Progressive Talk, Marxist Talk over at 820 yesterday, and callers calling in advocating for more violence against people with whom they disagree. He deserved it. That's sort of the resting posture of a wide swath of leftists. And I know that there's a lot of people who would identify as center left or as members of the Democratic Party who are enablers, but would say, I don't subscribe to the use of violence as the legitimate means to political ends. I know they say that, but then again, they're enablers. For those who do not believe that, do not believe that violence is off limits as a political tool. And by the way, I provided some survey data from FIRE on college campuses. Well, we talked about this when it came out, but let's revisit it, shall we? This is from Rutgers University's Social Perception Lab. A survey of Americans' attitudes, well, mainly the left's attitudes, on political violence. Following July 13th, the July 13th attempted assassination of President Trump, tolerance and even advocacy for political violence has surged, especially among politically left-leaning segments of the population. The Network Contagion Research Institute and Rutgers University's Social Perception Lab identified in two December 2024 reports, which analyzed how viral social media narratives were legitimizing political violence. This is particularly in the aftermath of the United Healthcare CEO's assassination. The reports found widespread justification for lethal violence, including assassination, among younger, highly online, and ideologically left-aligned users. In point of fact, when you looked at it, the questions were whether violence was justified, not violence, whether there was justification for murdering Elon Musk and for murdering Donald Trump. Among those who say they are slightly liberal or farther to the left, 9% think the murder of Elon Musk would be completely justified. 13% say the murder of Donald Trump would be completely justified. That's a lot of people. Just like I said with college campus data, a small percentage of a big number is a huge problem. If you add it all up in terms of the people who didn't say it was not justified under any circumstances, those on the left, 48% say that said in this survey research, that murdering Elon Musk is justified to varying extents. Somewhat to completely. And 55% said murdering Donald Trump is justified. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. A newly unsealed federal complaint accuses a Downers Grove man of threatening to kill federal immigration officers and other public officials while stockpiling a small arsenal of weapons and ammunition marked with the names of political figures. 33-year-old from Downers Grove, facing charges now of transmitting threats in interstate commerce. And this is what we get from Matthew Dowd on MSNBC yesterday, as we're as much of the rest as most of the rest of the nation is offering prayers for Charlie Kirk and his family, hoping that he survived the shooting.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
Matthew Dowd was a political advisor to George W. Bush and has completely succumbed to Trump derangement syndrome. And now, like so many of that era of big government Republicans, is either is a neo-Marxist or is a neo-Marxist enabler. I don't know which. hateful speech hateful rhetoric leads to hate-inspired crime. So somebody should ask Matthew Dowd if he believes the assassination of Charlie Kirk was justified. Sounds like he would say yes. Oh, Matthew Dowd has been removed from his position as a contributor to MSNBC. Big deal. He just said out loud in a ham-handed way the things that most of those individuals are sympathetic to at minimum. Most of the individuals, I mean, that man that desk. Not just the decrying of political violence, also the response to those celebrating. Where's that coming from the left? Here's what Governor Pritzker had to say.
My sympathy to Charlie Kirk's family and to Charlie Kirk, who obviously has, become a target for somebody. I don't know whether it's political violence because I don't know who did it. I know they seem to have somebody in custody. But I will say that political violence, unfortunately, has been ratcheting up in this country. We saw the shootings, the killings in Minnesota. We've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly, have tripped a new era of political violence.
The Washington Post responding to the Charlie Kirk assassination and the comments from leftist political figures. The Washington Post. The overwhelming majority of prominent Democrats forcefully and promptly condemned the killing of Kirk, including New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, California Governor Gavin Newsom. Former President Barack Obama said that the kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Though Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker decried the violence, he couldn't help himself from taking a dig at Trump. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it, he said, a disgracefully ill-timed comment. That's about as strong a condemnation as a man of the left will get from an outlet like the Washington Post. Even J.B. Pritzker is too far for the Washington Post. They won't go that far. They can't bring themselves to defend J.B. Pritzker's comments. Can anybody else in Illinois? Is every member of that new Marxist party that lords over Illinois being asked to stand with or stand against those comments? Don Harmon and Chris Welch and all the Senate candidates and all the congressional candidates, the kind of thing that the Chicago and Springfield press corps would do if a ignorant comment was uttered by someone on the right. Or is this just dissipating into the ether? Not just that, not just being called on the carpet for saying that Trump's rhetoric has brought us into this new era of political violence. Not just that, the idea that Trump's rhetoric had something to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination. But how about Jelly Belly's rhetoric? There is no one who seizes more opportunities to say the most vile, irresponsible, incendiary things than J.B. Pritzker. Just because he says it, like at a reasonable room temperature tone of voice, doesn't make it bellicose and despicable. Remember this one? From this summer in New Hampshire when he was traveling the country auditioning.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now.
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. Disruption. Not peaceful protest. Disruption. And just last week.
Second, unidentifiable agents in unmarked vehicles with masks are planning to raid Latino communities and say they're targeting violent criminals. As we saw in Los Angeles, a very, very small percentage of the individuals they will target will be violent criminals. Instead, you're likely to see videos of them hauling away mothers and fathers, traveling to work or picking up their kids from school. Sometimes they will detain, handcuff, and haul away children. They are law-abiding individuals who pay taxes and contribute to the communities who feel safe going to work and attending mandatory immigration check-ins. In other words, they're following the law. We have reason to believe that Stephen Miller chose the month of September to come to Chicago because of celebrations around Mexican Independence Day that happen here every year. It breaks my heart to report that we have been told ICE will try and disrupt community picnics and peaceful parades. Let's be clear, the terror and cruelty is the point, not the safety of anyone living here.
ICE agents, the prospect of National Guard, they're in the business of terror and cruelty. That's the point. He just said it. And again, a suburban man threatened to kill ICE agents, stockpile weapons. This Downers Grove dude, based on the standard that J.B. Pritzker on again, off again applies to political opponents, J.B. Pritzker's rhetoric, this guy gets picked up for threatening to making explicit calls to kill ICE. Kill the Nazi rapist pigs to the absolute last one. Kill their friends and family, too. Some of his postings. Mary Kay in Western Springs.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking the call. As a mother of a conservative kid who works on college campuses, this sick act just scares the pants off of me because that's what my daughter does every day. She goes, now she doesn't work for the Leadership Institute anymore, but she works for the Fund for American Studies, which she goes to college campuses and works with the kids who have conservative newspapers and helps them edit and, interview people. So she's there every day, and I'm going to tell you a story about Riley Gaines. Riley did an event. I can't remember what school it was at, but I think it was on the West Coast.
San Francisco, where she was accosted.
Where she was barricaded in her hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, barricaded in her hotel room for speaking out against, trans athletes, trans men being in women's sports. So everyone's got a target on their back, and it's the saddest thing ever. When I just can't believe the guy died. Sorry, I'm getting emotional because it's just wrong on so many levels, and it makes me fearful, but it also makes me think we got it. Like Trump said, we got to fight. And I'm a known conservative around here. People stay away from me because they don't want to talk to me about politics anymore. But we have to fight. This is a bunch of crap. And for a man to lose his life, who's 31 years old with a family, that could have been my kid. That could be Riley. That could be any of these people who are out there speaking up. It's Turning Point USA is a great organization, and I hope they just keep going on.
Thanks.
And thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Yeah, good morning. First of all, I'd like to say prayers for Charlie Kirk's family, and also on 9/11 today for all the people that lost their lives and their grieving families still 24 years later. And I just have to say, I probably speak for a lot of people, that we are absolutely exhausted from hearing things like I just heard the montage you play. We are sick and tired of what is going on. I'm tired of the lies personally, and I hope there's somebody out there that can carry on Charlie Kirk's legacy to try to reach young people. Otherwise, I just don't know what's going to happen to our world. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. Trump, in his remarks yesterday, addressed the political violence on the left, because the whole, we need to, end the political violence on all sides. It's not all sides. And the people who are saying that, let's be real honest about it. People who are saying that are trying to present a false moral equivalence, trying to distract your attention from the real dynamic here. And it is the fact that you have a identitarian, Marxist, leftist movement that is using the Democrat Party as its political vehicle. And they believe in violence as the legitimate means to political ends.
From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
The president struck the right tone there. But, I mean, you could add to the list he started. The attempted assassination of Brett Kavanaugh. The trans school shooters. I could go on. I mentioned a bunch of them earlier in the program. All the violence that has been occurring on college campuses for the last decade. This activist set, that's just a euphemism they use. Community organizer set, it's a euphemism they use for sociopath. What you have are unreasonable, ideological sociopaths that are driving a revolutionary party that seeks to destroy everything upon which this country was founded. That's the objective. And maybe Charlie Kirk's assassination will bring that into clearer focus for some people that think this is just normal ugliness of politics. It's not. And even some on the left who really would otherwise repudiate this if they weren't so fixated on Trump. Maybe it'll cause some scales over those eyes to fall too. I don't know. But let's call it what it is. And there is no, it's all sides business. That is bull jive. Not what is happening at all. 7:07, we'll turn our attention to the anniversary of 9/11. It's now 7 o'clock, AM 560.
They still haven't found Charlie Kirk's killer. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country.
President Trump called Kirk a martyr for truth and freedom and called his assassination a dark moment for America. Utah Governor Spencer Cox vows to find the gunman.
We will try you, and we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law.
Kirk was a conservative activist famous for going to colleges and debating students. He was shot addressing a crowd at Utah Valley University.
We're told the killer, in all black tactical gear and a black ski mask, fired from a rooftop about 200 yards away.
Fox's CB Cotton.
2 people were taken into custody as part of the investigation. The FBI said those 2 people were questioned and then released.
Republicans and Democrats and the president and former presidents have all condemned Kirk's assassination and all political violence. Almost a year after the second Trump assassination attempt, the suspect, Ryan Ruth, is on trial and defending himself. Opening statements are this morning in a federal court in Florida. In Colorado, a student remains in critical condition after being shot at Evergreen High School along with another student. The gunman was a classmate who shot and killed himself. There is a somber gathering in New York City, 24 years after the 9/11 terror attack.
We're being told a second plane crashed into the building on the opposite end. That's not an accident. That's on purpose.
Both the Twin Towers hit that day, later collapsed, and they'll soon start reading the names of the nearly 3,000 people killed on 9/11 there and in Washington.
We had an aircraft intentionally fly into the Pentagon.
President Trump will speak at the memorial there. There will also be a ceremony in Pennsylvania honoring the passengers who fought back on United Flight 93. The last of the terrorist hijacked planes crashed into a field. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny today with a high of 75. A robbery attempt in Chicago's Loop ended with gunfire Wednesday morning. Fox 32 reports an armored car guard was attacked outside Saks off 5th on State Street and fired several shots, wounding the suspect. He then fled into the Washington Blue Line station, where police recovered the cash and took the man to the hospital. This is the 5th downtown shooting this year. Federal agents, including U.S. Marshals and the FDA, raided Midwest Goods in Bensonville Wednesday morning, seizing truckloads of vaping products. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said many of the products made in China target children, young adults, and members of the military. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said 90% of the seized items were imported. Midwest Goods says it's cooperating and disputes the federal action, calling it a civil seizure, noting most products are U.S. made and pending FDA approval. The Department of Homeland Security launched Operation Midway Blitz Monday in Chicago and in Illinois. CBS Chicago reports Mayor Brandon Johnson says the city received no advance notice, and Governor Pritzker said the operation has not been coordinated with local authorities. ICE agents have made more than a dozen arrests, and immigrants' rights groups are holding protests and sharing Know Your Rights information in each community. In Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's not taking the Bears' plan to build a stadium outside the city personally. WLS reports Bears CEO Kevin Warren confirmed Arlington Heights as the preferred site for a new stadium, requiring no state money and potentially positioning the team for a future Super Bowl. The Bears also announced a partnership with DePaul University for student career development. Governor Pritzker has ruled out direct state funding for the stadium, but may support surrounding infrastructure. Soldier Field remains under lease through 2033, with an option to break in 2026. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder thinks the media is being ridiculous.
There was a hashtag called Trump is Dead, and it was trending. The same people who covered up for Biden for years are concerned that the president, who held 3 consecutive press conferences recently in one day, takes a little bit of time off, and he's not being transparent about his health.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Jenny McGuire is the fresh, bold, unapologetic voice of common sense, constitutional values, and conservative principles. With her sharp wit, she'll tackle the issues that matter most: faith, family, and freedom. Join her and featured guests each week on the Unsafe Space radio show, heard Saturday evening at 7 right here on AM 560 The Answer. And follow Jenny on Facebook at The Unsafe Space with Jenny McGuire.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
That big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices, so why don't you?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day. Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next day delivery, too.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
I guess you could say that now is a prime time to buy.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250, Micro.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no two bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Taking a look at your drive with traffic, a service of Fox Valley Coins on the Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 22 minutes. A 14-minute ride on the outbound Edens, Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 24 minutes. Drivers on the Kennedy outbound from the Byrne Interchange to Montrose, a 16-minute ride. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, it'll take you 35 minutes, and a 25-minute ride on the Eisenhower outbound from the Old Post Office to Wolf. On the Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 51 minutes. On the outbound Stevenson Lakeshore Drive to 355, you're looking at a 30-minute ride. Inbound Dan Ryan 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 20 minutes, and an 11-minute ride on the outbound Dan Ryan Byrne Interchange to 95th. Fox Valley Coins, no waiting, no problems, no charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold or silver in today. FoxValleyCoins.com. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Today, of course, the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attack, the worst terrorist attack on American soil in our country's history. And lest we forget, we had Chicago first responders that scrambled to get to New York to help out after the attack. Among those were the Maloney brothers, Jim and Pat and Tom, Chicago firefighters. And just remembering from their perspective what happened on that day and the heroism of first responders, both obviously in New York and in the Northeast, but also the contributions that Chicago first responders made to the effort after that attack. Patrick Maloney joins us now, Chicago Fire Department Special Operations Chief, who is now retired, among the Chicago Fire Department members who deployed to Ground Zero on September 11th. Well, September 12th. Patrick Maloney, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I mean, it's particularly poignant as I'm reading about, the the three brothers, you and your brothers Tom and Jim, and all of you being on scene after that terrorist attack, and just interested, obviously, in your reflections on it.
Well, as we all know, it's one of those days that live with you because everyone knows what they were doing at that time. And, we're getting the kids up to school. I was home that morning and saw the Today Show, and we were running it. And I was talking to another battalion chief at the time on the phone talking about tactics and the high-rise fire and all that. And then when we witnessed the other plane hitting the other tower, we just couldn't believe it, and just horrendous. And it's everybody on this. We were just glued to the TV. When the towers came down, I was in contact with the former fire commissioner, Chief Hoff, and he said, we're getting a team together. Commissioner Jim Joyce wants support New York in any way, and that's what we did. I showed up at the fire academy, making phone calls, scrambling for equipment. Everyone started showing up, working together. We had a purpose, and we were going to drive straight there to help out America.
And what was it like when you arrived? I mean, can you describe the things, at least, that whether you want to remember or not, the things you can't forget when you arrived on scene?
Well, I'll never forget driving across state or each state, and it was amazing. It took us, obviously, because we had a caravan driving, but state to state, we had state police escorts just waiting for us and leading the way for us. And then I remember stopping for fuel, people coming up and just hugging us, Yeah, it was very emotional. When we were coming across the George Washington Bridge, we could see the smoke, and we saw it on television, but all of a sudden it was so surreal, seeing off the burning in the distance. It was in the evening late, and anyways, when we arrived on this, we pulled up down one street, we parked our gear, we went, grabbed their stuff. We showed up at this one command post that was just, it was like apocalyptic. We've seen a car burning, fires burning still, and reporting at the command post. I'll never forget the chief saying, give me 10 guys on each line. We got fires that need to be put out. The rest of you start doing searches. And he goes, hey, Chicago, welcome to hell.
And I mean, the interesting thing about this too is like how quickly everybody coordinates. So your fire departments and first responders, police are coming from clearly closer areas like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, but all the way from the Midwest. And you're seeing other people making their way towards New York after 9/11 as well, like you were. And then how quickly that, what you're describing, it seems to me, is how quickly, professionals in the same line of work, but clearly you don't know the topography of New York the way that New York firefighters do. And yet everybody gels so quickly to in that emergency situation.
It was an experience. I mean, the brother and sisterhood of firefighters throughout is, it's in our hearts. And I always say, if we can't help each other, who can we help?
And the aftermath of that, how long were you and other Chicago firefighters on scene in New York after you arrived?
We set up camp at a grade school. We slept on the sidewalk the first night, but then we were able to get into the school and set up cots and stuff. But you really couldn't sleep because it was, you just felt like you had to be there and continue to help because it was just overwhelming. I mean, nobody was be prepared for something like that. And we're just always thinking about we got to rescue somebody or find somebody or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we were unable to do so. And we were there for over a week. And, when they started getting the control of the site, because they needed to. So.
And what was it like, like when you, just in the aftermath of coming back from that? I mean, coming back from hell, as the New York fire chief characterized it.
Well, the one thing is coming back and seeing the flags flying was very heartwarming. The one thing about it is we were able to come home and leave that behind, but it's still etched in your memories and stuff. But the one thing about it is the New York firefighters and the city of New York and also the Pentagon, I mean, that was a reminder to them every day because they worked that pile for quite a long time. And it's just, just seeing the flags around, and that was very emotional and noticeable, and it's something I wish we could see again, But
do you get together? I mean, on whether it's on 9/11 or just generally? I assume there's a lot of guys that served at that time that are now retired. Do you guys get together and stay in touch? Whether it maybe not even just because of 9/11, but because 9/11 had such an indelible impact on all of your professional and personal lives.
Well, I've never been to New York until that fateful day. Never had a desire to go to the city, but we became very good friends, close friends, by working side by side on the piles. I see the New York firemen, at least we keep in touch, text thread. I have gone golfing with them in Florida, and and obviously the anniversary of 9/11. I'm not going this year, but definitely next year. And the thing about it is my final day, my walkout for my retirement, I had 8 New York firemen that showed up. And it's just, we chiseled out a great friendship. We're very honorable and humble. And and we make phone calls to the guys. I got a whole lineup of whether it be a text or for today, never forget. It's just, it was very humbling. It was the worst of humanity that we witnessed that day. But just seeing people help other people and the friendships that were bonded, it's kind of odd. Is that, I don't know. It's just like the camaraderie will always be there.
And you have at least one son on the job now, don't you?
I have a son. He's a Skokie fireman.
Okay.
He followed the footsteps, and he's doing it. My other son was in. I remember bringing him out. He went to St. John's University, and I would see him when I go visit out in New York. Kind of twofold: see my friends, see my son, and then just my other son's Marine Corps.
Marine Corps is pretty good too. Yeah, that's good. So one of the things that's mentioned in this piece I read by Frank Main about you and your brothers is the health impacts. And even though you were there for a short period of time, there were some ill effects that you attribute to your short time there.
Yeah, I was on a kind of a breathing treatment for, I think, say about 6-7 months. I know my brothers, they're having issues. I'm not saying that my cancer was from 9/11 or whatever, but or the job, but I mean, we all carry something with us later in life for what we do. But I do it again.
But I do it again. Yeah. Patrick Maloney, Chicago Fire Department Special Operations Chief, now retired, among those Chicago Fire Department members who deployed to Ground Zero after the attack on 9/11. Patrick Maloney, thanks so much for joining us. Best to you and your brothers, too. We appreciate it.
Well, sir, I appreciate I'm finishing this real quick, is the country was so united back then, and I would just wish that we can get a little bit more common ground togetherness.
Well said. Thank you, Patrick Maloney. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Patrick Maloney joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. And right now, AM 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty with their Generac. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
This is David Santrella, CEO of Salem Media. It is with profound sorrow that we mourn the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk following the horrific assassination attack at Utah Valley University. It was a cowardly and vile act of violence carried out to silence one of America's boldest Christian conservative voices. Our hearts are shattered for Charlie's wife, family, friends, colleagues, and the countless people whose lives he touched through his words, his work, and his unwavering commitment to faith and country. Charlie was more than a broadcaster. He was a fearless defender of truth and a faithful servant of God. His assassination was not just an attack on Charlie. It was an attack on free speech and on the values Charlie championed every day. Salem Media extends its most heartfelt condolences to the Kirk family, Charlie's friends, and the millions of Americans and people across the world who are grieving this senseless loss. I'm Dave Santrella.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal, book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
Hey Chicagoland, your trusted friend Jeff here from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Over the past few months, I've shared how our veteran-led team serves Chicagoland homeowners. Today, I want to share with you what your neighbors are saying about working with us. Like Mary in Downers Grove, who wrote, "They listened to my concerns about moving from my home of 30 years and created a timeline that worked for me." Or Tom and Carol Stream, who said, "Their team helped me sort through 40 years of memories with respect and patience." This is why hundreds of your neighbors have given us a 5-star Google review and an A+ rating with the BBB. We don't just buy houses. We help people through life's transitions with understanding and care. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and always on your timeline. Ready to work with the home buying team your neighbors trust? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning. Dan Proft here, returning to Charlie Kirk. Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, had a message to those yesterday who were celebrating Charlie Kirk being shot, and even celebrating Charlie Kirk when it was announced that he had passed.
If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American.
He also reminded those assembled at his press conference that Utah has the death penalty. And we're expecting a press conference at 8 a.m. Chicago time from the FBI to update their investigation. We'll see whether this becomes, assuming that they apprehend the person responsible, this becomes a state or federal or state and federal prosecution. If whoever did this is brought into custody peacefully. Kara in Orlando, Florida, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I wanted to share the level of security that I experienced at a Charlie Kirk event in 2023 here in Florida at UCF University. We were invited by some of the top people at Turning Point, and we were privileged to information. When we arrived, we said, "Oh my gosh, who's here?" There were snipers on the roof. There were sheriffs everywhere. This is in a closed door environment. They said it's for Charlie. Charlie has credible death threats every single day. And my husband and I were appalled. There was very high level of security. I'm talking presidential level. My question yesterday immediately was, how did the security fail? Why was the security lowered? How do you get to a place? He has a bigger blueprint now. He has more eyeballs on him now. He's connected to the President of the United States, and his security is laxed. It doesn't make any sense. And I question everything at this moment.
Thanks for the call, Kara. I mean, we mentioned this. We'll talk to James Fitzgerald at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, but I brought that up with Jim Gagliano at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, retired FBI supervisory agent. I mean, especially after Butler, how do you not have even campus security at Utah Valley, taking the initiative to make sure that there are no people on elevated positions when you have an outdoor event and elevated positions all around? You would think that would just be something that would sort of naturally occur to law enforcement, in addition to Charlie Kirk having his own security detail. The collaboration with somebody, make sure whether you have drone coverage or not, somebody make sure you're walking on top of these buildings, or we're checking them out pre-event, or you're stationed by where you can see access to those elevated positions. I agree. I think that's a legitimate question. Speaking of security, Adam Bartholomew, who was an eyewitness to the shooting, talked to BBC about it, and he had been to events like this before. This is what he said.
At this event, there was no security. I was able to walk right into the university with tripods sticking out of my gear bag. Nobody stopped me, and there was absolutely no security.
He also said this, because he was near them, the protesters, those who showed up just to protest Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, there were people there that with a lot that did not like Charlie. They hated Charlie Kirk, and after the initial shooting, they some of these kids said, fingers crossed, or they hoped that he had gotten shot. And obviously nobody knew at the time, but I was taken aback and surprised by that reaction.
Mm-hmm. What our school systems are incubating. That'll be a conversation we pick up at 7:37 with Ian Rowe, visiting fellow at the Woodson Center, founder of Vertex Partnership Academies. Ian Rowe, 7:37, as we continue our discussion in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. 7:37, now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny today with a high of 75. Chicago police have charged 26-year-old Jermaine Sutton with first-degree murder after a fatal weekend shooting on the city's west side. Sutton shot and killed a 57-year-old man in East Garfield Park, and the victim died at Stroger Hospital. Sutton has a detention hearing on Wednesday. In Chicago Monday, the Department of Homeland Security launched Operation Midway Blitz. Mayor Brandon Johnson says the city had no advance notice, while Governor Pritzker says the operation hasn't been coordinated with local authorities. ICE has made more than a dozen arrests, and immigrants' rights groups are holding protests and sharing Know Your Rights information. Illinois leaders from both parties are condemning the shooting death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. WGN reports Governor Pritzker called it horrifying, while Republican leaders Darren Bailey and Tony McCombie said the violence is senseless and has no place in America. And today in Chicago, local police and fire departments are holding 9/11 remembrance ceremonies honoring first responders and victims. The city's also taking part in the nationwide Day of Service, with volunteers packaging meals for local food banks. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again.
In one horrific act of violence, a voice of freedom has been lost. Charlie Kirk was the leader of a groundbreaking movement for patriotism in this country, and the country will sorely miss his guidance. We pray for Charlie's family as they battle through this sudden loss. Rest in peace to an American hero, Charlie Kirk.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available. Financing is flexible. And at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job, really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Have you heard a lot of buzz about tariffs?
No.
Really?
What's a tariff?
It's a tax on imported goods.
Well, I've never heard of tariffs because 92.3% of Penny Mustard's furniture is made in the USA.
True.
In fact, most of it is built by local craftsmen and women right here in the Midwest.
And locally sourced furniture will never have a tariff on it.
Can we talk about this later? I'm tired of hearing about these tariffs.
So I guess you can say that all this talk about tariffs is taxing.
PennyMustard.com.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Taking a look at your drive with traffic service of Allstate. Eden's inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, 21 minutes, 18 minutes. Eden's outbound, Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound, Montrose to the Byrne interchange, you're looking at 27 minutes. On the outbound Kennedy, 23 minutes from the Byrne interchange to Montrose. 49 minutes on the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Eisenhower outbound from the Old Post Office to Wolf, a 29-minute ride. There's a crash before Harlem in your left lane, adding to your drive. 49-minute ride. Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound Stevenson, Lakeshore Drive to 355, a 30-minute ride. 13-minute delay inbound Dan Ryan, 95th to the Byrne interchange. It'll take you 32 minutes. Some people just know you could save money on your car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Leah Grover is a former phone sex operator. Leah Grover, former phone sex operator, now a mommy blogger and a self-described quote-unquote vigilante educator. She is also a member of the Crystal Lake District 47 School Board. Leah Grover. MAGA has no ideology whatsoever aside from worshiping the idol of their orange-faced God. No morality, no ethics. Not one iota of integrity in the entire lot. The only thing they have is hatred. They were okay with supporting a known rapist in 2016, and they're okay with him protecting his pedophile friends now. They never cared about children. They just cared about hurting trans people. They never cared about the law. They just cared about hurting immigrants. They never cared about history. They just cared about criminalizing blackness. They never cared about women. They just cared about punishing anyone who stepped out of line. The entire movement can be summed up as, quote, you think you learned something by reading and listening and caring? F you. Leah Grover, former phone sex operator, now Crystal Lake District 47 school board member, also had this to say. They have openly, MAGA, they have openly raged against education, against empathy, against logic and reason, against fairness, and especially against the notion that all people are created equal. To anyone who gets out of that cult, great, but you're going to have to reckon with yourself and how you could ever have been persuaded and how long you could bear to defend yourself before you left. To everyone left in the MAGA cult, you disgust me. Every week you manage to find more ways to disgust me. It's worse than a sickness. It's a condemnation of your very soul. I look forward to Leah Grover's contributions to the quality of education at the Crystal Lake High Schools, don't you? New Trier. New Trier has a new social studies teacher. Her name is Sarah Gerudis. She posts things on social media like, STFU, shut the blank up about Chicago, especially if you are a Fox News watcher and or don't live in the city. Thank you. And quoting, welcome to raising a family in the most exceptionally unexceptional country in the world. I look forward to Sarah Gerudis's contributions to the intellectual development of New Trier students as they matriculate through that wonderful institution and make their way onto college, armed with the version of American history that Sarah Gerudis offers. New Trier also has some sort of fostering dialogue in divisive times instructional that they have platformed. The presenter is a woman named Jasmine Wong. I guess this was a webinar. As she opened the webinar on fostering dialogue in divisive times with a land acknowledgement, gosh, I wonder what perspective she is going to push. And then she said, among other things, I'm quoting, as I think about our identities and how they impact the kinds of moments where we stop, I also want to pause to say that we also need to be reflective that the choice to make space or time is also impacted by our own identities, what we choose as being important to see and pause at. And so we also want to be aware of the moments in which students are raising stories and having that power and that empowerment to raise moments to discuss in the classroom where they need to pause. I look forward to the contributions that Jasmine Wong will make to both the students and the teachers and administrators at New Trier as that school continues to pretend that is in the business of educating rich kids, which mainly is what it's mainly the point. And then those rich kids go on to other institutions of intellectual development and enlightenment and do what? Create no-go zones for Jews? Shout down conservative speakers, vandalize buildings. For more on all this, pleased to be joined by Ian Rowe, the founder of Vertex Partnership Academies, senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, visiting fellow at the Woodson Center, and author of Agency, the 4-Point Plan for All Children to Overcome the Victimhood Narrative and Discover Their Pathway to Power. Ian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thank you. That's a very sobering lead-in.
Yeah,
of what's happening in our schools.
Exactly. This is a very different conversation than I think we were going to have because of Charlie Kirk's assassination yesterday. But I don't think we can talk about what's happened on a college campus yesterday in the context of what's been happening on college campuses for a long time, and not include what's happening at the K through 12 level, as you know very well, because you're a practitioner, not just a policy guy.
You know, I've been thinking about this, and obviously this terrible event that happened with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But for the moment, I want to not focus on the one killer who resolved his disagreement through violence. I want to actually focus on the more than 7,000 people who signed petitions to resolve their disagreements through silence. They signed petitions to disinvite Charlie Kirk because the very last thing that they could handle is actual civil discourse, actual debate around difference of opinions. And we have to realize that it's that attempt at silencing by those 7,000 petitioners that ultimately leads to this one deranged person who feels that the only solution is through violence and ultimate silencing. And there are just real implications for, I run high schools in the Bronx. There are real implications for what we need to be teaching our children to value viewpoint diversity, our common humanity, this idea of equality of opportunity, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of political affiliation. So a terrible event like yesterday doesn't just happen out of the blue. And we really need to think about, why is it that 7,000 people across University of Utah Valley University and Utah State would sign a petition saying, no, it's more dangerous to hear ideas. We'd rather silence them.
Well, right. I mean, so it seems to me that part of the problem is you don't, I guess, learn to respect differences of opinion, different views on different topics, and address those in a sensible, peaceful way, if you want to engage at all. If you have adults at the K through 12 level suggesting that, this viewpoint is dangerous and this person should be silenced. I mean, what's happening at K through 12 and college is as much the fault of the adults in those systems as it is the kids. Of
course.
And it seems to me, like, you correct me if I'm wrong in this. You know what it seems to me? It seems to me like they know it's sort of a Chesterton's, like when people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing, they believe in anything. When these kids don't know how to read and reason and do math, when they don't actually know anything, of course, what fills that void is the politicization that they're being fed throughout their time in school.
Well, no, that's the narrative, of course, right? And it doesn't matter, actually, if you know your math or reading, because we live in an oppressive society, right? Based on your skin color, your religion, your gender, the system is rigged against you. So what does it matter? Right? What does it matter if you are applying yourself in each of these areas of math and reading and science? And we should talk about what's happening there, because that's a pretty sad story too. But you're right. It is this overarching narrative that America itself is an oppressive nation. And the things that you just described by these teachers, the school board members, it's, we don't know for sure. It's the first time I heard it, but it's highly likely they're putting forth a narrative that suggests that our kids are going to be facing insurmountable barriers, structural barriers. And all these things, all they tend to do is to dehumanize one another, right? Because it's no longer that we can just disagree on the merits of an argument. No. If you hold a certain set of viewpoints, you are an evil person, not worthy of dignity. In fact, the first step to disavowing one's humanity is to disavow even their ability to speak or to present an argument. That's why you see these schools and adults, and you're right, it's not the kids, it's the adults, shutting down discussion even before kids have had an opportunity to understand the merits on all sides of a given issue. And that's why this terrible incident, obviously this one person who took this heinous act, hopefully he'll be caught to, held accountable soon. But the teachable moment is 7,000 people that wanted to shut the conversation down at all.
Yeah.
We can never let that happen. Charlie Kirk actually is famous for saying that the reason he, goes into these environments that are hostile, he said, what is so important to our country is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
The piece by Roland Fryer, which I'm sure you saw in the Journal earlier this week, talking about education reform. And I mean, it's not dissimilar, frankly. And when I read it, I was thinking of your 4-point plan in your book, Agency. Yes. It's not dissimilar, but I mean, it's just the Harvard economist, if people don't remember the conversation we had about it. Roland Fryer is very good. but it's also to read that piece is to pull your hair out. You say, like, Roland Fryer had this success story in Houston more than a decade ago, and it got abandoned, and nobody else apparently wanted to adopt it. And I know there are these green shoots like your charter schools in the Bronx, and I can name schools in Chicago too. But in terms of systemically, well, we just saw the test scores. So systemically, this is a catastrophe, and and it's not because we don't know what to do to address it. It's because there's just no political will in not just big cities, but in a lot of suburban communities to implement the things that would produce the results that we say we all want.
Yeah, I mean, this is what is so maddening. I mean, as you just said, the National Assessment for Educational Progress, the nation's report card, has been coming out over the last few weeks, and it found that in 2024, there were 4 levels at the national assessment. There's reading at the advanced proficiency level, proficiency, basic, and then below basic. Below basic means that you don't have the ability to understand common words or to form paragraphs, right? Basic ideas. At 4th grade, there are now more kids at below basic than there are at 4th graders that are at proficiency or above. Think about that. 40% of all 4th graders in our country are below basic, which exceeds the kids that are reading at or above proficiency levels. And also at 12th grade. So, you think, okay, well, maybe things get better over time. But the 12th grade data just came out. In 2024, 12th graders are now reading at the lowest levels in the history of the exam since 1992 as the first year that came out in reading. And in math, it came out in 2005, that assessment. 2024, the lowest assessment of 12th graders, of seniors, graduating seniors. So we have to, there are a whole bunch we could do a whole call just on what are the reasons that our schools have been failing for so long. But in the interim, what do we do with all those families that are trapped in school systems? And that, when we originally had this discussion to have me on, we were going to talk about this provision, this school choice provision that's now been created that actually can create an escape valve for parents that all they want is a shot at a good education for their kids. So I'm happy to talk about that if you want to pivot, but all of these things are connected. All of these things are connected.
Well, do, because the key with this provision that was advanced in the big, beautiful bill by the Trump administration and now codified is that states have to opt in. And so, and you already have most of the country, 60% of the country that have school choice programs in one form or the other. States like Illinois did, and now we don't. But this is an opportunity where school choice is not available to put pressure on your political representatives to make it available through the federal government. And so it has particular saliency here.
Yeah. So just for your listeners, so as you said, in the bill that was passed on July 4th, tucked in is this provision, which is the first ever federal tax credit that could support a national school choice program. And the key is all funded through philanthropy. This is not tax dollars. So here's how it works. Starting in 2027, any American will be able to donate up to $1,700 to what's called a scholarship granting organization. These are nonprofits that take donations and then in turn pool those donations together and then redistribute them in the form of scholarships, primarily to low-income kids, to pay for things like SAT prep or high-impact tutoring, even if you're in a public school, or you'd go to tuition at a private school. But the idea is that those dollars, those scholarships, are given to families to make a choice as to what they think is best for their kid. And as you said, one of the provisions that the Senate parliamentarians said when the bill was passed, we can't coerce every state to participate in this tax credit program, because if you donate up to $1,700, you get a dollar for dollar tax credit. So it's a win-win-win, right? And so every governor has to opt in. Well, guess what? Every Republican governor has signaled that they're going to opt in, because why not? This is literally potentially tens of millions of dollars that could be created in your state that could then be given out in scholarships. And yet almost no Democratic governor at this point has signaled that they are going to opt in. And in fact, the biggest loudspeakers, Randy Weingarten, the head of the National Teachers Union, folks like Diane Ravitch, they are actively pushing these governors to say, no, do not opt your state into this federal tax credit, literally depriving kids in their state of a philanthropically funded opportunity. This is the madness that we have to counter. You know, it used to be that even if you had a divide on environmental issues or healthcare or whatever, there was a sort of an agreement that when it came to school choice, we can all agree that all kids, but especially low-income kids, should have the power to choose a great educational pathway for their kid. But now we seem to be at this impasse, and I'm trying very much to encourage Democratic governors in particular to say yes to this provision.
Ian Rowe, founder of Vertex Partnership Academy, senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, visiting fellow at the Woodson Center, and author of Agency, the 4-point plan for all children to overcome the victimhood narrative and discover their pathway to power. Ian, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
And Ian Rowe joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old joke about Uncle Sam's tax short form. The first line says, "How much did you make?" The next line says, "Send it in." Sadly, that's not funny at all for honest people who pay taxes. But that's exactly what a lot of people do in their retirement. They take money out of their 401k and their IRA, and they send it into the IRS. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan of send it in. What if your current plan includes thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare payments, lower Social Security checks? What if the savings you may realize allows you to retire even earlier? Wouldn't you want to know all of that right now? Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group and find out today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. You can also visit alphawealthgroup.com to schedule your no-obligation consultation.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk to our friend Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent, about security for the president, for the vice president, and for conservative figures generally. What should be done, and is the Secret Service in a position to do it? It is now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
We're about to get an update from the FBI.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. On the manhunt for Charlie Kirk's assassin, Utah Governor Spencer Cox vows they'll find the gunman and hold him accountable.
And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
And this is the only description of the shooter from Utah law enforcement via Broadcastify.
Wearing all black, black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
Kirk, a conservative activist who debated students on college campuses, was shot while addressing a crowd at Utah Valley University.
We're told the shots were fired from a building about 200 yards away.
Fox's CB Cotton is on campus.
The FBI is making a plea on social media to the broader community. Anyone with photos or videos, send it to the agency.
President Trump called Kirk's assassination a dark moment for America.
He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth.
President Trump condemned rhetoric demonizing people with whom you disagree, especially from the left, as former presidents Clinton, Obama, and Biden and other Democrats joined Republicans speaking out against political violence. Now, opening statements will soon start this morning in a federal court in Florida to put Ryan Ruth on trial, charged in the second Trump assassination attempt last year. We just got an inflation update. The consumer price index rose more than expected last month, 0.4%, and the annual rate of inflation also went up 0.2 to 2.9%. There was also an increase in first-time unemployment claims last week, the most in almost 4 years. Now to New York City. That's at Ground Zero, marking the start of the 9/11 terror attack remembrance 24 years later. That bell went off at the first hijacked plane time when it hit the first of the Twin Towers. Both later collapsed. They've just started reading all the names of the nearly 3,000 people killed in the attacks there and at the Pentagon and at a field in Pennsylvania where a plane crashed. America's listening to Fox.
Good morning. It's 68 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny today with a high of 75. A robbery attempt in Chicago's Loop ended with gunfire on Wednesday morning. CBS News reports that a man attacked an armored car guard outside Saks off 5th on State Street. The guard fired several shots, wounding the suspect, who fled into the Washington Blue Line station before being caught with the stolen cash and taken to the hospital. Police have charged 26-year-old Jermaine Sutton with first-degree murder after a fatal weekend shooting on the city's west side. CBS Chicago reports that Sutton shot and killed a 57-year-old man on Saturday morning in East Garfield Park. The victim died at Stroger Hospital. Sutton also faces a cannabis charge and has a detention hearing coming up Wednesday. ICE arrested at least 13 people in Chicago as part of Operation Midway Blitz, targeting undocumented migrants with criminal records. Fox News reports those arrested have prior convictions or pending charges for crimes, including sexual assault, armed robbery, and domestic violence. The operation, launched Monday, honors Katie Abram, a woman killed in a drunk driving crash earlier this year. Illinois leaders are condemning the shooting death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. WGN reports Republicans Darren Bailey and Cook County GOP Chairman Aaron Del Mar called the violence senseless and unacceptable. 2 Chicago area high school music teachers were honored with the CMA Foundation's Music Teacher of Excellence Award. ABC7 reports that Justin Antos of Dwight D. Eisenhower High School and Jeremy Bartunek of Greenbrier School were recognized among 30 educators nationwide. Each teacher receives $5,000 in grants to support classroom and personal needs, highlighting the impact of the school music program. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to the Consumer Price Index for August. Oracle's chairman, Larry Ellison, now rivals Tesla CEO Elon Musk as the world's richest person. By some estimates, Ellison briefly topped Musk during Oracle's rally yesterday. Ellison, who is Oracle's founder, has seen a $200 billion bump in his fortune this year from demand for its technology to support artificial intelligence. NVIDIA shares are higher, up 0.5%. Barron says Oracle's dramatic increase in earnings fueled by AI demand is a positive sign for NVIDIA. Furniture companies Lovesac and Hooker Furnishings both reported earnings this morning, but both lost money in the recent quarter. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Attention investors with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account. The dollar has lost over 25% of its value in the past 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. Are you prepared for what's about to happen next? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold IRA company in America, and we are helping Americans prepare for the great de-dollarization by diversifying their portfolios with physical precious metals. We've partnered with former chief economist of the IMF, Kenneth Rogoff, to give away his latest book called Our Dollar, Your Problem, a must-read for investors. Call 800-741-GOLD, and we'll rush a free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem to your doorstep and include our special gold IRA investing kit, valued at $49. The dollar is losing value fast. Call 800-741-GOLD now to get your free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem and our free gold IRA investing kit. Supplies are limited. Consult your tax and financial professional before investing. Call 800-741-4653. That's 800-741-GOLD.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Taking a look at your drive with traffic and service of almost freeteeth.com on the Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 21 minutes, and a 25-minute ride on the outbound Edens Montrose to Lake Cook, a 35-minute ride on the Kennedy inbound Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, and on the outbound Kennedy from the Byrne Interchange to Montrose, you're looking at 21 minutes. A 53-minute travel time on the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound Eisenhower from the Old Post Office to Wolf, you're looking at 31 minutes, and on the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lakeshore Drive, it'll take you 57 minutes. A 50-minute travel time on the Stevenson outbound from Lakeshore Drive to 355, and a 27-minute delay Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. It'll take you 42 minutes. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. There's a commentary that is often attributed to the great Russian dissident Alexander Solzhenitsyn, but I believe incorrectly attributed to him. I think the author of this is unknown, but it in no way undermines the veracity of the observation. And it has a particular applicability today, I believe. I know this passage isn't in Gulag Archipelago, so I've tried to find it in Solzhenitsyn's writings, but I haven't, so I don't think so. I think it is unattributed. But anyway, the salience. The most terrifying force of death comes from the hands of men who wanted to be left alone. They try so very hard to mind their own business and provide for themselves and those they love. They resist every impulse to fight back, knowing the forced and permanent change of life that will come from it. They know that the moment they fight back, their lives as they have lived them are over. The moment the men who wanted to be left alone are forced to fight back, it is a form of suicide. They are literally killing off who they used to be, which is why when forced to take up violence, these men who wanted to be left alone fight with unholy vengeance against those who murdered their former lives. They fight with raw hate and a drive that cannot be fathomed by those who are merely play-acting at politics and terror. True terror will arrive at the people's door, and they will cry, scream, and beg for mercy, but it will fall upon the deaf ears of the men who just wanted to be left alone. I say that, or I read that, it's not my words. Wish they were my words because I think they're that insightful. But I read that passage to say this: we better get our act together both culturally and practically, lest that warning come to pass. That's what I fear. We talked a lot about culturally, a little bit about practically, talking about things like security at events where there are people who have credible death threats against them on a routine basis, like yesterday at Utah Valley. And like the President of the United States, who, by the way, we didn't really talk about, but now after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I mean, this visit that he and Vance and Hegseth made to a D.C. restaurant where they were, once they got inside the restaurant, were confronted by Code Pink protesters.
Enjoy your dinner. Thank you.
Free D.C., free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. How did those pruny harridans from Code Pink get into the restaurant? And why wasn't, from the video, you don't see Secret Service anywhere to be found? There are knives and stuff on tables around. I mean, I'm not a security expert. I'm just trying to think practically. For more on all this, please be joined by Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent, co-author of the book Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the Californian Dream and Now Threaten All of Us. Fool's Gold is Susan Crabtree's book. Susan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Dan, as always.
We have the D.C. restaurant, which some people have raised concerns about, and I just did. And then we also have your latest story on the Secret Service. This is not good. Give us your story and your perspective.
Yes, it's not good at all. In the wake of the terrible, horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, who I did not know, I won't pretend to know, but I was on his podcast several times, and he amplified my Secret Service coverage in the aftermath of the assassination of Donald Trump attempt on him. I will say that the Secret Service is under enormous pressure and are not rising to the occasion. That my reporting, I was talking to the White House just hours before that terrible scene in the restaurant, D.C. restaurant, just a block away from the White House. The Secret Service told me that these individuals, these Code Pink women who show up at congressional hearings and interrupt them on a regular basis for the last, I don't know, as long as I've been covering Washington, which is decades. Unfortunately, I'd like to admit
they're not aging. You're aging well. They are not. But anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That they had a reservation. So that raises big red flags for me and others. And this restaurant owner is a big Democratic contributor, as been pointed out online. And, there's whether this is coming from the Secret Service itself, the agents themselves, because this was supposed to be an off-the-record event, meaning that it was kind of last-minute planned, and so you don't do advanced work. You don't sort of screen the site. You don't bring the dogs in and do sniffing. You want the individuals, okay? So, but my question is an obvious one. They had these big flags. Some of them were smaller banners that they unfurled, but they had a huge pro-Palestinian flag. Did the Secret Service agents not see that when they were screening their bags? It just, again, attention to detail, which was a problem I was already talking to the White House and the Secret Service about just hours before, because a Glock, semi-automatic handgun, the Secret Service missed it, got through on Trump National, which is a golf course in Sterling, where Trump was golfing over Labor Day weekend.
Sterling, Virginia.
Sterling, Virginia, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so the Secret Service was already answering my questions about a breach that caused an internal investigation, and one of their uniformed division officers who was in charge of searching that bag that had the Glock in it that got through, he's now put on administrative leave. And that is considered a significant breach. And now I was talking to the White House about whether they should whether President Trump believes there should be magnetometers placed on his golf courses when he's there, because the Secret Service is not, doing its job. Basically, it's having some issues, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
So you had a member,
it's a troubled agency.
Sorry, but you had a member at this club who had a Glock in his bag. He forgot he had a gun in his bag, as I read your story, and it passes. Secret Service doesn't find it when they're searching bags and doing their advanced work. And he brings it to the attention of Secret Service, and he's like, well, what the hell? How did you guys not find this? He volunteered it because he didn't know, and then he finds he's got this gun in his bag, and he's like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe I got this through. And so he brings it to the attention. So he's like, you guys need to do a better job of this, because, what if I was not just what if I was not a fan of Trump, or I was something other than just a member of this club? I mean, and then the restaurant incident on top of it, it's just like, I mean, it doesn't seem like we've seen, as you were basically intimating, the sort of reforms that were obviously required and were discussed were coming after Butler.
That's exactly right. It's just one of many of the problems we've seen with the Secret Service in the wake of Butler. We had cat fights outside of President Obama's house that I've witnessed because of the DEI hiring situations. We've seen that the people that were responsible for Butler got a very big slap on the wrist, 11 to 40 days on paid administrative leave, and their supervisors who signed off on the Butler plan and didn't figure out that there was nobody on that AGR roof that Thomas Crooks got his shots off at Trump and killed Corey Comparatori. And they signed off on the plan, including Sean Curran, Trump's choice for the director, signed off on the Butler security plan without somebody on that roof. His deputies did. They all got promotions. One of them now is leading the Eric and Laura Trump detail. And now there's this big, I'll disclose this with you, and breaking some news here on your show, Dan. There is a debate within the Trump administration over Sean Curran's future because of all these problems and lapses. There was an incident at the White House recently in which the chief of staff of the Secret Service pushed someone through security that wasn't supposed to be there and got into the White House. Now, they didn't pose a threat, but it was disconcerting. And so now there's an internal debate going on. Sean Curran has his supporters. He has his detractors. This is going on at a very high level. But the chief counsel was recently forced to resign because he had a road rage incident with a government vehicle. And in New Jersey, going to a Democratic judge's swearing-in ceremony. Meanwhile, the Secret Service is not answering my questions about their retention issues, whether they've made any progress. They haven't. Spoiler alert, they have not. They are in deep problems. And there was a report by the Inspector General that came out recently saying the counter snipers are they're completely they have very few members, 73% understaffed, and so that I knew, but they will not tell me the numbers. They will not give me any update on their retention efforts and their DEI efforts. What happened to all those DEI officials that were put on administrative leave at the beginning of the administration? I've asked repeatedly about that, and they cannot tell me because that's employee privacy concerns. Well, I think, with all of the problems of the assassination attempts, you can issue a statement. Sean Curran doesn't issue statements. He doesn't comment on anything. He's this behind-the-scenes director who, even within his own ranks, his lack of communication with his own agents and officers is a problem. They don't feel they're leaving in droves, especially the senior leadership in the Secret Service.
Well, I mean, it sounds like at minimum, if maybe as a go no go moment, he needs to be pulled before a congressional committee and testify, in an open committee, so that people get some answers from the boss, as it were, here, and we'll see how he performs. I don't, unless they just want to clip him altogether and replace him, but. Yeah, I mean, you can like him or not like him. It's not about like or not like. It's about performance, and we're just not seeing the performance. And after yesterday, of course, there's going to be heightened there should be heightened vigilance, and with respect to yesterday, I mean, do you have any perspective on I don't know what the response should be, and other than you have to have universities and maybe with state and local exercise more vigilance or devote more resources when a prominent conservative is going to speak on a college campus or going to speak in an area that is quote unquote soft target, elevated positions and the things like that. I mean, what is your security perspective on that for covering Secret Service so long?
Yeah, so the Secret Service is already so terribly understaffed, as I mentioned. So it can't be that the Secret Service covers every conservative influencer unless Congress wants to reevaluate that position. Congress and local state legislatures, but this is kind of now at the point where it could be a federal issue because you can't leave it up to individual states to protect influencers and state legislators, lawmakers, and it's a national debate conversation that we should be having. Certainly, you need to beef up. We thought this was a very safe venue for Charlie Kirk because it was this conservative campus in Utah, very heavily LDS community. So he probably wasn't taking even he was probably taking the precautions he usually does, although he did have security. He has his own security team there, but it was a team of 8 who, were reactive. Yeah, I mean, this is a national conversation we need to have. We need to have a conversation about deranged individuals and whether we should be more aggressive in committing them. We've had a series of incidents, sad, the Catholic school being shot up in recent weeks, and now in a Colorado school yesterday. And we need to figure out what we're going to do about mental health in this country. And that's a state, local, and federal issue. Certainly when it comes to Charlie Kirk, I think myself and some of his supporters, many of his supporters believe that the power of his death has been released in all of us, and it is a turning point, and we will do our best to carry on his legacy of standing up and speaking your mind and not being cowed into submission when things like the president's life is on the line and others, our continuity of government is on the line, and our very practice of democracy, the ability to participate in democracy is on the line. I think we need to be vigilant and more vigilant with the Secret Service, obviously, and Congress needs to have hearings on the reform or the lack thereof that the Secret Service has implemented in the wake of Butler. And it does not matter who appointed, whether it's a Trump appointee or a Biden appointee or whomever. We need the scrutiny. Everyone, these government agencies respond to sunlight. That's a lot of what the Secret Service has a reputation of being reactive. We have to change that. And it's Congress's duty to provide some of that sunlight. My stories can only do so much. And the whistleblowers, I give the credit to the whistleblowers in the Secret Service who have put their careers and livelihoods on the line and their very lives on the line to protect this president, his cabinet, and our democracy.
The book is Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. The author, Susan Crabtree, RealClearPolitics.com's national political correspondent. Susan, thank you, all, as always, for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you so much, Dan. Take care.
Yep, and Susan Crabtree joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Okay, this basement is unreal. You've got a bar, theater seats. What is this place?
This is my escape. Forever Remodeling custom designed the whole thing. Not 1 square foot is wasted.
Man, mine still has a treadmill and a folding table.
Their designers asked a ton of questions. I wanted the ultimate game day setup. They delivered. Bar, big screen, sound that shakes the walls.
Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain.
MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
They took everything. Our equipment, our supplies, it's all gone.
It's devastating. Every order is going to be delayed for months, and our customers are going to find someone else.
I don't know if we'll ever recover from this. We're already getting calls from clients checking on their orders.
Who knows how long it will take to get back on our feet? What were we thinking not upgrading our security?
Don't let a break-in devastate your business. Protect yourself with Goldilocks. They'll create a customized security solution for you. From commercial doors with keyless entry to 24/7 alarm monitoring, they have you covered. Learn more at GoldilocksInc.com and have a security technician conduct an on-site assessment of your business. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call Goldilocks now. 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicagoland's premier locksmith doors and security systems company since 1981.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft. So the FBI just completed or is in the process of completing its briefing on the manhunt for Charlie Kirk's assassin. They recovered a weapon in the woods they believe to be the weapon that was used to murder Charlie Kirk. They have video footage of him. They said that he fled to a nearby suburban neighborhood, at least initially, but they don't have him yet. We'll pick this up with James Fitzgerald, retired FBI special agent and criminal profiler in the Unabomber case at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 69 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Freddie Hammer. Sunny today with a high of 75. A man was shot during an attempted armored car robbery in Chicago's Loop on Wednesday. The suspect attacked a guard outside Saks off 5th, grabbed cash, and fled into the Washington Blue Line station. Police recovered the money and took him to the hospital. It's the 5th downtown shooting this year. Federal agents raided Midwest Goods in Bensonville, seizing truckloads of vaping products. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said many were imported and marketed to youth. Midwest Goods says it's cooperating and disputes the seizure, noting most items are U.S.-made and pending FDA approval. And ICE arrested at least 13 people in Chicago as part of Operation Midway Blitz, targeting undocumented immigrants with criminal records. Named for Katie Abram, who was killed in a drunk driving crash earlier this year, the operation continues while Mayor Brandon Johnson reinforces sanctuary policies. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the rose is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. And right now, AM 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty with their Generac. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders and developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Laboratory studies have shown that certain nutraceuticals not only protect the heart, the kidney, and the brain, but also enhance their function. These nutraceuticals are found in Virago. Here's what a Virago user has to say.
Hi, my name is Dan, a retired Navy SEAL, and I have CHF, chronic heart failure, bad circulation, and many other problems with my health. And my VA doctor told me about a product called Virago, and I started taking it, and I was able to get out of the wheelchair. My legs are not swollen anymore. My feet aren't swelling anymore, and it's just really made a lot of difference, and I thank God for it. And I attribute my recovery to using Virago regularly.
Order online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Mike Gallagher here. Don't risk losing the trusted news, traffic, sports, and weather you get from AM radio stations. It's time to make your voice heard. We need Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars. When internet and cell service is out, AM could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now. Text AM to 39179. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Taking a look at your drive with traffic and service at Blindster.com. A 21-minute ride, Edens inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose. 22 minutes outbound, Edens, Montrose to Lake Cook. A 46-minute delay on the Kennedy inbound, Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. It'll take you 44 minutes. 19-minute ride on the Kennedy outbound from the Byrne Interchange to Montrose. 57 minutes inbound, Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Eisenhower outbound from the Old Post Office to Wolf. A 32-minute ride. A 56-minute ride on the Stevenson inbound from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Stevenson outbound, Lakeshore Drive to 355, 55 minutes. A 29-minute delay on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. It'll take you 42 minutes. Looking for affordable blinds, shades, or shutters for your home? Don't hire an expensive pro. Check out Blindster.com, where they offer custom-made window coverings at guaranteed low prices with a team of pros ready to help you every step of the way. Blindster.com. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be very warm with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 85. Saturday may see a morning thunderstorm in isolated areas, then turning very warm and humid with intervals of clouds and sunshine, hitting a high of 89. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, it's Improv here. President Trump's message in response to the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday, in part focused on the political violence coming from the left.
From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year,
which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
Well, the FBI briefed the situation, the investigation, just a few moments ago. And as I mentioned before the news, they announced that they have found what they believe to be the assassin's weapon in a wooded area near the college, Utah Valley State. They have surveillance video of him, good surveillance video, they said, but they don't have identity. They haven't identified him yet. That he fled from the scene from the elevated position to a neighboring area, and then wherever from there. That's what they know. But the problem, of course, is the high-profile examples Trump just ticked off of leftist political violence barely scratched the surface. And it's not just the high-profile incidents, and it's not just directed at conservatives, also directed at federal law enforcement. Mentioned before, the Downers Grove man who has been taken into federal custody for threatening to murder ICE agents and their families. And you wonder why they wear masks. But it's also the culture. A culture we talked about earlier with respect to the Rutgers study from last year. Actually last year into this year, that found basically nearly half of self-identified left of center individuals believe that there is at least some justification to kill Elon Musk and to kill the President of the United States. It should be a shocking thing to say, but that's what the data said. That's what Rutgers University's survey data found. The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression studied 68,000 students from 238 American colleges, found that 15% of students believe violence toward a campus speaker is justified. Nearly 1 in 6, just off the top, it's just justified. The same survey found 52% of students find it acceptable to block others from attending a campus speech. So you have half of kids surveyed, of 68,000 kids surveyed across 238 colleges, who believe in compulsory unification of opinion, who essentially believe in violence. If you're willing to block others from attempting a campus speech, what are you willing to do if they resist? So the problem is that it's not just a job for the FBI and state and local law enforcement, is it? James Fitzgerald, retired FBI special agent and criminal profiler from the Unabomber case. He also served as a consultant for the TV show Criminal Minds, and he's the author of A Journey to the Center of the Mind, which is a long-running series. Jim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, 3 weeks to the hour, I think, that I'm back with you and your audience. And again, for another unhappy day.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised that the FBI has not been able to zero in on this guy yet?
No, what I'm seeing with this case, and of course it's a different kind of case, but I see this as sort of akin to the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, where, a large crowd, in that case, 2 brothers, made it out of the crowd and went their own way. And right now, the agents and analysts from multiple agencies are going over surveillance footage of all kinds facial recognition, car tag recognition, cell phone pings of all kinds and places, and they're trying to put this together. I mean, the guy got lucky. He had an egress that he pre-planned. I just heard for the first time a few minutes ago from you that the weapon was found.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's confirmed that's the weapon. They'll match it with the ballistics found in Charlie, and they will confirm that. Then they can find out, of course, who bought that kind of ammunition in the last few months, who bought that weapon itself, or that if that can be traced at all, and they'll get some clues after that. But if the person just dropped it in the woods as he did, perhaps it won't be readily traceable, but these are things the agents and investigators will still have to follow up on.
The larger problem, I mean, just your sort of commentary as a law enforcement official when you are thinking about the extent of the threat, right? I mean, the FBI, the combined efforts of law enforcement, it can't police, nor can it legally preemptively police all the people in this country who could find some justification to murder their political opponents, as per this survey research I just mentioned. It's sort of a cultural sickness that law enforcement can't cure. But what can law enforcement do when you have sort of this level of illiberal people that believe political violence is the legitimate means to policy ends, and frankly, a lot of them congregate in and around college campuses?
Well, I mean, as someone who grew up and remembers, both Kennedy assassinations, Martin Luther King, and of course George Wallace, all within about 9 years or so in my early days, I remember these number of assassinations. This is nothing really new. As a young FBI agent, I remember interviewing Rush Limbaugh, his producer Kit Carson, and later Ann Coulter, even Don Imus. He was kind of neutral, apolitical in his early days, but I would go to their offices, their studios, because they were getting threats from nut jobs out there.
Yeah.
So, and Dan, I don't know you that well, but I have a feeling every once in a while there's something that comes across your desk or your computer screen, and maybe disconcerting on your end. So again, we don't want a police state. We don't want to end these types of college appearances. But look, the progression is natural. Up to like 10 years ago, Ann Coulter, others would go to these college campuses, and the people would protest so much they'd basically have to shut it down, and she'd be standing at the gate almost literally, or other people too. And they just couldn't get in and weren't allowed. So they have that, Riley Gaines a few years ago was essentially kidnapped at a campus in San Francisco. When she went there to speak, they held her for a few hours that she couldn't even get free. And now, of course, Charlie Kirk was bringing in such high numbers, and it was such a happy and worthwhile event for most people going. The evils among us, the evil people among us, said, no, this cannot be, and by any means necessary, we're going to shut it down. I don't want law enforcement, my former profession of 31 years, to be out there, stopping everybody all the time without probable cause. But the media have to get on board, the politicians, with this vitriolic rhetoric that we're hearing. I'm so glad that MSNBC guy, or Ms. Now, whatever they call themselves, was fired as of yesterday for what he said. And, of course, he apologized afterwards. They don't mean it. He'll have his own podcast in a few weeks, and the same people will come on as guests. So it's a sad commentary of where we are in this country. It's not original. I talked to people about it's 30 years next week that the Unabomber's manifesto was published in the Washington Post. And there's people that think, all his ideas are so grand and new. They weren't in 95 when they were published. And these assassination attempts, these trying to silence the other side, are not new either. And these younger people, I don't know the age of this person. I'm assuming younger rather than older. He had to be kind of fit to get up on a roof, then down. And who knows if he went up on the roof beforehand and then, off into the woods, whatever. But nonetheless, they've just been exposed to this kind of behavior and rhetoric through their young lives, and much like the guy 3 weeks ago that shut up the school in Minneapolis. Where are the parents? This person, this shooter, younger or older in age, will probably have been raised by the same kind of parents, never told no. Who knows what kind of drug combinations from pot to Ritalin to, multiple COVID vaccines have screwed up the brain. And that's what we're going to find out with this person. It's they're just screwed up, and there's too many outside influences. They probably live in an echo chamber of people who only say the things he wants to hear. And because Charlie Kirk was so popular and really the picture of the youthful conservative movement in this country, he had to be taken out. They tried Trump twice. He was a hard target. He still is. And other, high-ranking politicians. Charlie Kirk was a soft target, and that's how he wanted it. I know he had up front, security and guards around him, but who thought about the rooftop sniper? Maybe they should have. And I think from now on, these events will either be held indoors or they'll have drones flying along these rooftops anywhere someone of a conservative bent is giving their presentation.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you see it from the, especially in our this digital world in which we live. You see all the reports and documented instances of people celebrating the shooting, celebrating his death. That sort of cultural rot, that cultural sickness I'm talking about. I did see one post though from somebody who looked like he was a dude pretending to be a woman, essentially saying something bad is going to happen on the campus tomorrow, and I hope Charlie Kirk is evaporated, or words to that effect. I mean, those sorts of online threats that are specific in nature and precede something horrible that comes to pass, I assume that is fodder for FBI investigation.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before. I think on your program, I teach threat assessment. I am a threat assessor. It ties into my profiling, my work as a forensic linguist. And what we know is kind of a formula is threateners don't usually act, and actors don't usually threaten. But as the experienced threat assessor, you better know how to pick out that 5% who violates the norm there, and that's what they have to look at in that regard. But it's and trying to. At first, I heard of that. I'm learning a lot from you, Dan, today. First, I heard of that tweet or whatever it was, that the social media posting from the day before. What did that person know? I have no doubt the shooter is obsessed with Charlie Kirk, or was. And I said, within an hour yesterday to some colleagues, I said, this shooting is probably trans related, which is not that much of a stretch here. I'm not saying the shooter is trans, but there's someone who identifies with that movement, because that seems to be what most of the animus towards Charlie Kirk was aimed, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if this person is focused on that. I also wouldn't be surprised if at some point a manifesto or some kind of a message is received by the media somewhere, or law enforcement somewhere, by the shooter, anonymous. I bet you the person also had a handgun with him, a pistol. If he was going to be confronted by police, he would have taken them out, or at least tried to defend himself. But by the grace of not God, Lucifer, this guy made it away where he is so far. But he will be hunted. He will be found. And I like how I think it was the governor of Utah yesterday reminded everyone, yeah, we do have the death penalty in Utah. And it wouldn't bother me if that got carried out.
He did indeed. This guy. Yeah, Spencer Cox did indeed remind people that. James Fitzgerald, retired FBI special agent, criminal profiler from the Unabomber case. He also served as a consultant for the TV show Criminal Minds, and he's the author of A Journey to the Center of the Mind, which is a long-running series. Jim, thank you as always. Appreciate your insights.
You're welcome, Dan.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
More you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Unreadable, inconsistent part marking is more than a nuisance. It's a liability. When your part marks fade, your quality and credibility also fade. GT Schmidt helps manufacturers leave a permanent mark on their products. Laser, dot peen, scribe, and roll marking systems. Our machines engrave everything from serial numbers, date codes, certification marks, barcodes, 2D matrices, and logos on metal, plastic, anodized coatings, and more. GT Schmidt laser systems provide high speed, versatility, and durability with non-contact precision. Harsh environment? Rugged parts? GT Schmidt pin markers produce deep, reliable marks. Parts small or large, flat or round, we engineer systems to your specific application. GT Schmidt, the name for dependable part identification and traceability, setting the standards since 1895. Right now, save 10% off standard GeoMark Pro lasers and standard Styliner pin markers. Visit gtschmidt.com for the marking machine that's right for you. Made in the USA. GT Schmidt, your mark made to last.
You think your 401k is safe, growing, reliable, but here's the truth. The 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift risk onto you, leaving your retirement exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, and chaos. Noble Gold helps Americans roll over part of their 401k into real physical gold. Tax advantage, penalty-free, and shockproof. Get your free wealth protection kit now at noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Let's end on a positive note, as positive you can be in the wake of such a tragedy. Sage Steele, the former ESPN reporter, she came to know Charlie Kirk very well, and she offered this remembrance of him yesterday.
These college campuses, and he let kids speak. Let them say what was on their mind, give their opinion, and then he gave his with facts as well. He did what so many people refuse to do. He is the reason why my kids decided they wanted to have an interest in politics and at least be educated. Most importantly, he was such a man of God. Charlie Kirk is one of the reasons that I'm no longer afraid to wear this. I didn't for such a long time.
She's talking about crucifix.
And he gave me the courage to do so. That's what he led with. His faith in God, his love for his wife, his love for his children. And that was his goal, to make this country a better place for his kids and yours and mine. I am heartbroken, I am devastated, and I am livid. What they want is for us to have fear and to go hide because of things like this. And maybe in some ways, I don't know, maybe we should. We have to do things differently, certainly. But Charlie knew the risk. Every day, he had security detail with him. And sometimes nothing can protect us from evil. I know this too, though. Charlie would not want us to go hide and to be quiet and to run away from the evil, from the people that hate us, who happen to be the same people who preach about diversity of thought and tolerance. And look, they kill him because they don't like his opinions. And they don't like the fact that he was winning. Charlie Kirk already won. It is our loss and the world's loss today.
And then there's something else that they don't like. They don't like that this is a Christian nation, and that Charlie Kirk was a relentless defender of it.
Our country was founded on common law because the Declaration only refers to God 4 times in the Constitution. It doesn't refer to God at all, and it only articulates the structure of government.
So first of all, remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. In almost every single one of the original state constitutions, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. You asked about common law. Well, let's go to 3 principles of common law. presumption of innocence, due process, and jury of your peers. All three are biblical principles. So, and all wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, which is the idea of blind justice, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, which is the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas, but more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral and religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population.
One of his best moments. One of his best moments in the many discussions and debates he did. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate everybody's comments and well wishes and prayers. It is now 9 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
Still trying to track down Charlie Kirk's assassin. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Any attack on the First Amendment is an attack on the very foundation of our democracy.
FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles in Utah says they recovered a rifle discarded in a wooded area.